Right, good morning, everybody. Please take up your seats. Clearly, a lot of people are still on their way or frozen out somewhere. The audience will grow as we go along. So those of you who haven't noticed yet, if you haven't got your name card yet, please go to this venue here and collect your name card and sign in on the attendance register, please. So not more people coming in. We've got quite a big number of people on Zoom and YouTube as well. All right, so welcome here at the session. Our host, Renko Berg, is working his way through the traffic from the airport. He will be here in a few seconds, and clearly a lot of people still doing that. Ladies and gents, just for the recording's sake, it's the 7th of August, 2025. And today we're talking about digital dynamics, masterclass on moving forward effectively. And definitely we're going to witness that today. So thank you for being here. I've got the important thing to do the housekeeping, and that is to tell you where the restrooms are. So when you exit that door and you move down that wall, and you see you'll have to go around the corner, make sure of a U-turn to the left, and then you'll go back to, and you'll see the restrooms there. The guys on YouTube, please keep yourselves on mute. Otherwise, we will have to mute you. During the panel discussions, you'll get opportunity to introduce yourself and ask some questions. Ladies and gents, the Transport Forum, as you might have noticed, is a free platform for everybody in the industry. So obviously, we've got great sponsors making this possible for many years. The Transport Forum in its current format is more than 18 years old. We've done, I think today is the 281st event we're doing. So it's quite a lot. And all those events, all the presentations have been uploaded to our Transport Forum's website under the downloads division, where you can download for free very, very powerful knowledge base that you can download presentations. So let's give recognition to our sponsors and associates. So also we're going to have some fun. Jan, if you can give me option 3 there. There we go. So we're going to have some fun, and a lot of fun today. We're going to use the menti.com program. And so I'm going to tell you more about our sponsors and our associates. And after that, we're going to do a quiz. And I'm going to ask you 2 questions about our sponsors and associates. And the first person answering the question right will be a winner of a very nice Parker pen to the value of about 450 rands. So there are 2 Parker pens we're going to hand out. And yeah, so that the online audience will also be able to participate, the Zoom people. And so because Menti is on the web. So should you be a winner in the room here, we will hand over your prize to you. Should it be an online person, then we will courier the prize to that person. All right. Lots of fun. And at the end of the program, there will be lucky draws. One of the lucky draws will be this buffet set. You can see with the little candles below, heating it up and so on. Very nice buffet set. This thing is about 500 rands in value. So you might also be the lucky winner of this. So we'll do a lucky draw at the end of the event. And obviously some other prizes as well. So ladies and gents, let's now have a look at our great sponsors. As you can see, we've got many sponsors. and associates. Now, associates, those are professional bodies in a formal agreement with the Transport Forum, it's the top block there. There are many other associations involved with us as well, but these are the formal ones. And then the block below that's the media partners of the Transport Forum from many years already, giving us exposure. And then at the bottom, we've got a lot of gold sponsors. And then the platinum sponsor of the Transport Forum, you can see in the top there is CTRAC. CTRAC's actually been involved with the Transport Forum since inception. And today they are the platinum sponsor, or one of our platinum sponsors. So let's dive into our associates. Enjoy the journey. We've got a few videos we're going to show you. Listen carefully so that you can answer questions. All right. So our associates sponsoring or supporting us. First one there is the South African Association of Freight Forwarders.
What does it take to compete on the world stage? To go head-to-head with the best of the best? Excellence, agility, resilience, the willingness to keep on evolving. It takes courageous leadership to be bold and chart the course, to connect the dots, bringing stakeholders together, to overcome the hurdles we all face, and to deliver best practice. It's about business at the click of a button, delivering at the speed of the internet, connecting people, products, and places, strengthening our supply chains, faster and more cost-effective than ever. Since 1921, we've given voice and vision to the freight forwarding industry, navigating the tides of international trade, evolving ever more sophisticated supply chains, bridging local and global markets to move our economy forward. Welcome to our world. The South African Association of Freight Forwarders, architects of transport for over a century.
Thank you very much, Saf. We've got the Multimodal Inland Port Association playing a major role in revitalizing our rail infrastructure. Big companies getting involved there, becoming members. Ladies and gents, all the associations, it will really benefit should you support them and become members. And association, what do? They represent us, they lobby at government for us, they collect a voice for that vertical in the industry. Very important that we revitalize as well our associations in the industry. We've got the African Rail Industry Association, representing the rail industry in South Africa, RIA, they are called. We've got the South African Express Parcel Association, so it's the voice of the express parcel industry. We've got the South African Bus Operators Association, representing the bus and the coach industry in South Africa. And then the Road Freight Association, they say without trucks, South Africa stops. So very important, keeping our truckers safe and compliant on the roads. Safer Stops Association, Nikki Scott and her team. African Women in Transport Association. Here we've got our media associates with the Transport Forum. We've got Freight News, Eugene here. Put up your hand, Eugene. There's Eugene from Freight News, so you can talk to him. Thank you very much for your great support. You can see there's news and features for the import and the export decision makers. We've got the Railways Africa magazine, published weekly online. It's the African Continent Specialist Trade, technical business-to-business online publication over all aspects of the rail sector. So that is Railways Africa magazine. We've got Focus on Transport and Logistics. You can see they've also been in South Africa for many years. We've got Engineering News from Crema Media, and they also give us a very nice news wrap.
Hello and welcome to this week's edition of the Engineering News and Mining Weekly magazine, published on Friday, 8th of August, 2025. In this week's cover article, Engineering News and Mining Weekly Senior Deputy Editor Martin Zwakinyu writes that ramping up African trade is seen as the key coping strategy as the AGOA extension prospects fade. With the continuation of the African Growth and Opportunity Act, or AGOA, beyond its expiry next month in serious doubt, dozens of sub-Saharan African countries look set to lose the preferential trade access to the lucrative American markets they have enjoyed for more than 2 decades. The Engineering News features focus is on chemicals and petrochemicals, where the use of reliable instruments for the chemicals industry are a must. Agricultural, engineering, irrigation, and plant propagation, where a bladder water reservoir offers portable and large capacity water storage. And furnaces, kilns, ovens, and dryers, where a digital solution boosts optimization. The Mining Weekly features focus is on women in mining, where an updated strategy aims to drive deeper gender transformation. This week's business leader is Cez Sacre, the CEO of L'Oréal South Africa. And in this week's cartoon, the impact of the tariffs being imposed by President Donald Trump's administration on most countries, including South Africa, will probably not be felt immediately. Over time, however, the costs to American consumers and export-oriented countries and companies could be high. We hope you enjoyed this week's edition of Creamer Media's Engineering News and Mining Weekly. Be sure to subscribe to the magazine that offers you in-depth news about developments in the real economy by emailing subscriptions@creamermedia.co.za. Happy reading and see you next time.
Thank you, Engineering News. Ladies and gentlemen, now we're going to look at our sponsors of the Transport Forum and our host for today, CtrlFleet. Let's have a look at their great video.
At CtrlFleet, innovation is at the heart of every decision we make. We execute like never before. Our features include planning, scheduling, driver application, and our value proposition is continuous value and execution for you. We love logistics and transport operations, our clients, and our aim is to provide them with new age technology, innovate their business, and take them to the future.
Great, thank you very much, CtrlFleet. Let's give our host a hand. Ladies and gents, this platinum sponsor of this Transport Forum, C-Track.
Managing a fleet isn't just about tracking vehicles anymore. It's about intelligence, efficiency, and control. Still, who has the time to actually process all that information and make so many decisions? With multiple moving parts and a data overload, it's easy to miss what's important. C-Track's Crystal platform puts you back in control with smart, AI-powered insights. You're not just keeping up, you're staying ahead of the competition by reacting faster and smarter. Whether you manage a handful of vehicles or thousands, Crystal scales with you. From new entrepreneurial ventures to established enterprises, Crystal grows and adapts with your fleet. Because no two fleets are the same, and different industries have different requirements, you can add additional business features as you need them. Like analytics, custom AI scripts, electronic proof of delivery, routing, scheduling, and cameras, our solution offers a strong core with modular optional plugins and AI that works for you. Because having the power to predict and staying ahead isn't just smart, it's a superpower.
Thank you, C-Track. Ladies and gents, then we've got
Managing a
JC Auditors.
Welcome to JC Auditors, your trusted partner in road freight certification solutions. At JCA, we offer a single integrated solution for road freight companies, enabling you to achieve all your compliance and certification requirements. Our focus on the South African National Standard, RTMS, ensures your fleet meets the high standards in safety, efficiency, and sustainability. Promoting vehicle safety and fostering safe driving behavior are keys to RTMS success. With a national presence of a growing footprint in the SADC regions, JCA is your local and regional expert in road transport compliance. Our certificates are SANAS accredited and IAF aligned, so rest assured that JC Auditors certifications are recognized globally. Our team of professional road transport experts brings unparalleled experience and dedication to every client, ensuring your company is always compliant. Having conducted over 10,000 audits in the last 15 years, JCA's expertise is proven, tried, and trusted across the industry. We proudly serve South Africa's leading road freight companies, along with a host of other forward-thinking and ambitious transporters, driving road transport excellence. Join the many satisfied clients who trust JC Auditors for their road freight certification needs, including RTMS, ISO 9001, and more. Visit us at www.jcauditors.com and drive your business forward with confidence.
Thank you, JC Auditors. Freeway.
Freeway is a powerful digital system for managing fleets and assets, giving you real-time visibility and eliminating paperwork. At its core, Freeway handles maintenance, compliance, and procurement. From job scheduling to defect tracking, purchasing, and stock control, everything is managed from one connected platform. In the workshop, mobile devices replace paperwork. Engineers can request parts, check histories, and everything syncs instantly with our main system, so you know the status and cost of every vehicle, part, and service. Freeway connects seamlessly with your existing systems and supplier platforms, allowing data to flow freely. It's modular, scalable, and always ready for digital reporting needs. With a mobile app for remote management, a booking portal for external users, and built-in analytics to track true costs and performance. Freeway helps you save time, cut waste, and stay fully in control.
Thank you, Freeway. But the cargo?
In the world of express freight, there's one name that stands above the rest: Bid-Air Cargo. Our airport-to-airport line haul service is the backbone of South Africa's express freight industry. At Bid-Air Cargo, we don't just deliver cargo. We go the extra mile to ensure a seamless and efficient experience in South Africa. With our unwavering commitment to excellence and improved technology, we handle your cargo with utmost care and deliver it on time, every time. Our dedication to service excellence is what sets us apart. We live by our core values of service excellence, mutual respect, integrity, and accountability. When you choose Bid-Air Cargo, you're choosing a partner that takes pride in going above and beyond for your freight needs. From pharmaceuticals to perishable goods, automotive parts to live animal transportation, we handle a diverse range of commodities. Our attention to detail and precision ensure that your cargo arrives in perfect condition, no matter what it is. Our dedicated teams work tirelessly to guarantee the safety and efficient transport of your cargo. We leave no stone unturned to ensure your freight arrives at its destination intact and on time. With our advanced track and trace system, you can monitor your shipments in real time. Stay informed about the whereabouts of your cargo with just a few clicks. Our goal is to provide you with peace of mind and complete transparency throughout the entire journey. We understand that time is of the essence for our valued customers. That's why we offer a user-friendly online portal that simplifies the documentation process. Obtain quotations and create e-labels with ease, saving you valuable time and effort. Whether you have a small package or a large shipment, Bid-Air Cargo handles it all with equal care and precision. Our ISO certification is a testament to our commitment to quality and professionalism. We don't just excel in domestic express freight, we also cater to your international cargo needs. No matter the size of your business, whether you're a small enterprise or a multinational corporation, you can trust us to handle your cargo with the same level of dedication and attention to detail. Connect with us today and discover the difference our innovative technology, seamless tracking, and customer-oriented approach will make to your operation. Bid Air Cargo. Same-day express every day, overnight express every night.
Unitrans.
In over 100 years of being in business, we've moved people, goods, and ideas across Africa. We've seen change and the opportunity that comes with it. Sometimes, growth is hard to see. It announces itself quietly. One conversation, one connection, one delivery at a time. But if you keep listening, keep solving, keep doing what matters the most, you begin to see it. The spark of progress made by a partnership, potential in a challenge, momentum in every connection. Because connection powers progress. A truck and trailer, a journey home, a handshake for a job well done. Together, an innovation that changes the game. One small action becomes many, strengthening supply chains and transportation for industries to thrive, creating the right conditions for growth for our customers, our people, our communities, and Africa. That's why at Unitrans, doing is moving. Moving is progress. Progress is impact. Impact is growth. Growth is the potential of a continent unleashed. And after more than 100 years, we don't just see ourselves as part of your supply chain. We see ourselves as your transformative partner, driven to make your growth happen. Because when we serve with intention, growth is reimagined. Make growth happen. Unitrans.
Thank you, Unitrans. So now we've got Internet of Things integration. Now we've got in control.
Our shipment process allows you to automate tasks that once required manual paperwork, WhatsApp messages, and phone calls. With streamlined electronic workflows and detailed reports, you can reduce administrative time by up to 50%, speed up invoice turnaround by 75%, and boost customer satisfaction with real-time updates. Shipment process types includes contract shipments, ad hoc truck hire, cross-border shipments, and rigging shipments. Our RTMS software allows you to automate data collection effortlessly, guarantee accurate calculations, and instantly generate reports on RTMS compliance. Measure and manage your fleet the in-control way.
Thank you, in control. Let me tell you more about University of Johannesburg, the Department of Transport and Supply Chain Management has been involved also with the Transform since inception. So we're thankful to them. We've got Data Noble. It's a company that does research in your customer base. What's your customer's opinion of yourself? What other products might be, good to sell to them? So very good company to do your research for you. Cuba is a transforming ticketing organization, part of the ICM group, also gold sponsor with us. Standard Bank would be been with us also for many years. Kathy Bell and her team. Global Trade Solution about imports and exports. You can see they do consulting and strategy, software solutions and specialized services. Sutari, consulting engineers of note, many years a gold sponsor with us. Easy Clear, software solutions for customs clearing, freight forwarding and logistics providers covering air, sea, road and rail. And then we've got Ticket Pro with the Smart Tap solution. And that's about our sponsors. Let's give our sponsors a big hand making this possible. So before we go to the quiz, just remember that we've got a business directory. Olga Mashilu is administrating that. We've outsourced it as a BE initiative to Olga. And it's only 450 rands a year. You can get your company listed in that business directory. And I'll send all of your email after this event, where there's a link you can click on and can indicate that Olga should give you a call. And all the presentations of the Transport Forum has been uploaded to that website under the downloads section. You'll also receive an email guiding you how to do that. All right, so what I would like to do is go to our quiz. Let's have fun. The quiz we're going to do is we're going to use menti.com. So you can go to your device, go to your browser, online people, the Zoom people as well, and you type in your browser, you type in menti.com. I'm going to get Menti rolling. I'm going to sit there at the desk, and then I'll bring up on the screen the Menti code you should type in. And where they prompt you for your name, please type in your name and surname so that we can see exactly who's answered. All right. So let's have some fun. Right, it's me again. So there you can see the code 64193970. You should type in. The guys on Zoom should also see the code. Working nicely, a lot of people joining. And ladies and gents, we're going to use the same Menti throughout the day today. There's going to be a few quizzes he's going to answer, and it will be the same code all the time. But every time you'll see it on the screen as well. We're just waiting for more people to join. So please, when the system prompts you for your name, make sure your name and surname is in there so that we can see who's the winner. So for the Transport Forum's quiz, that we're going to ask 2 questions about our sponsors. And here you can see we've got 2 Parker pens, which are the prizes of the winners. Okay, seems to me we've got about 43 people who's going to compete. So let's start the quiz. Here we go, the quiz is starting. Association representing the rail industry of South Africa. What are they called? Association representing the rail industry of South Africa. Right, so a lot of people said ARIA, and that is the right answer. ARIA, African Rail Industry Association. So let's see the leaderboard. Rafilia. Rafilia is the winner. Is the Rafilia in this room? There she is. Right, Rafilia, we'll hand over to you just now. Let's do the next congratulations, Rafilia. Let's give her a hand. Well done. All right. Question 2. Already have 51 people. Right, here we go. Here's question 2 coming. It's a gold sponsor of the Transport Forum, and their logo is execute like never before. Who are they? All right, a lot of people said CtrlFleet, and that's our host for today, execute like never before. All right, so let's look at the leaderboard. The fastest was Frick Adele. Frick Adele. I don't know, is Frick in the room here? So Frick is obviously on Zoom. Frick, congratulations. We will definitely be in contact with you, and we will courier your prize to you. Congratulations, Frick. Let's give Frick a hand. All right, Rafilia, come and fetch your pen, please. All righty, ladies and gents, it's my privilege now to hand you over to our host for today and our MC, Renko Berg. Let's give him a hand. Thank you, Renko. Okay, laat ek jou slides opsit, sorry, vergeet.
Excellent. Good morning, everybody. And from CtrlFleet, welcome to the second edition of Digital Dynamics. And for those of you on site, thanks for braving out the cold in Joburg. And for those online, very happy to have you here. So we know for sure there are two things that all of us have in common, and that is the love for the transport sector and digitization. And today's Digital Dynamics is a masterclass for helping you to navigate forward through this period of transformative digitization, all that comes with it. So for all the people that have made the effort to be here, thank you very much. And then some other thank yous also. Harry, it's always lovely to have to be at any of your events, and to co-host is even more special. And then from CtrlFleet to Esther, our brand manager, she was here quite late till last night, still setting up and early morning. So thank you for your effort. And then for the panelists, this is only as eventful and impactful with the expert matter speakers that are going to be joining us today. Unpacking, which is a very exciting but quite daunting topic, digitization, how one can navigate through that period and optimize that to the best of your ability in each of your operations and where you find yourself in the transport sector. So from CtrlFleet side, just a quick brief from what we offer. We are a transport management system, carrier focused, and our operational tool solves a very specific problem in the heart of a scheduling environment. We connect what trucks are doing with what they should be doing. Put differently, if you are an operator in the transport space and traditionally there's a disconnect between where your trucks are and what they should be doing, that is essentially what our tool does. Slots in there, gives you digital control to help you schedule and navigate through those operational challenges. But enough of us. The topics at hand today are going to unpack quite a lot, going from within the cab where the drivers live, outside analytics, around on the road in the journey, and very excited for you to share and see the result. So let's just quickly try and set the stage a bit more in terms of where we find ourselves in a digital revolution. And a lot of you know the terms that are being thrown around and put forward, fourth industrial revolution, etc. I wanted us to take a quick journey, a roadmap, because this current revolution that we find ourselves in is not the first and will definitely not be the last. It is, however, currently the most obviously impactful. And I wanted to quickly just gauge, you don't have to feel obliged to put up your hands for that if we start in certain of the time zones, but can you remember how far back the first scan has taken place and how we are still scanning barcodes today? If you look at when RFID tags were introduced, how long ago that is, and again, we are still using some of that today. Navigating to a fast-paced environment where we are today, where the fourth industrial revolution speaks about automation, a lot of artificial intelligence and augmented reality. How does that all become relevant? How does that become real for you and us in the transport sector? And what ages and stages are some of that already being used and adopted? The context of this is, however, that it is current in this stage already here. It is not coming. The fourth industrial revolution, we are in the heart of that at this stage, and it is being experienced, and many operators can already contest of the value that they're deriving from there. The impact that this digitalization is making can be felt in many areas, but one specific area just to highlight is in terms of cost management. And interestingly enough, comparing three sectors next to each other, manufacturing, retail, and logistics, you can see that the impact that digitalization can have is specifically in the logistics space when it comes to either revenue generation or cost management and reduction does outweigh its counterparts, showing either that there is still a very big vacuum of opportunity for digitalization, or what I also tend to believe more is the big general impact that logistics has across all supply chain spheres. And once that sector gets digitized, the impact just multiplies more. If you go further and we look at certain of the trends when we analyze technology attributes in the supply chain, and you put it on a scale of adoption versus maturity, you can see a report that McKinsey & Company has released. Certain of those things that we are inherently assuming are more adopted or more introduced or more mature are essentially slightly not. For example, who can spot where drone deliveries are or the uses of drone? Some of you before today might think, you know what, it's still very far away, or in Europe or in other regions, much more mature. It's smack bang slight in the middle. It's going from early adoption phase and concept to pilot and usage. Take that to a sphere at a more mature usage, we start to see the world of ERPs. You know, all these acronyms playing around: warehouse management system, transport management system, and manufacturing. And one would assume that those are now a common trend at logistics operations. But is it? And I think that's something you can ask yourself when looking at your own operation or the ones that you are involved with. If you then look at just, things that need to be considered as we navigate into this, supply chain, fourth industrial revolution, the one general aspect is, and I think we keep hearing this in boardrooms, we keep seeing this at client consultations, is visibility. Do I have enough data to share? My clients are asking for more. I am needing to give more. Can I integrate? Can I give visibility? And how do I get to that point if I don't? And that trend is continuing. It's becoming a way of work. In our operational rooms, we are thinking on how well we can operate and execute our business operations, just as well as do we collect the data, but thinking of how we'll make this visible to counterparties that need that, to create stickiness, to create value, to deliver service. If you look at what the next phase of revolution is entailing, is also the new jobs, the new roles. We all see this on a daily basis. We need to have our operational teams, which are good at certain things, very good, become good at things that they potentially are not. And how do we mix up a skill team that are either needed to be upskilled, which already are not used to that, or how do we bring in new skill sets? And that challenge is going to persist as we are navigating through this period. There's no silver bullet, I believe, in terms of getting that right. We're going to have this balance of new skill set, upskilling, and the common culture string, which is we need to put digitization first. It has become the way that we do work. It's not how we should or try. It is the norm. Then if you think of events like today, there's a trend that they use for that called neutral platforms. Can we create environments where, regardless of our reporting structure, regardless of our ability to impact businesses on strategic level or not, can we all engage to discuss the topic? Can we engage the vulnerability of how either we are not digitized because of the dauntingness, or the waters that we navigate while we do? And I think if we can create an eco-environment amongst ourselves as transport operators where we can speak freely about challenges and share how we have navigated, I think that can only make ourselves better. We get to many environments and clients where the willingness to share, because of the threat of potential competition, or giving trade secrets away. I firmly believe that the technology at hand is not going to be a competitive edge going forward. It's going to be how you utilize that technology. And in that space, if you can create environments where we can talk about that freely, about what worked and what worked not, how you take that back to your own operation is going to be what sets you apart, and how you can optimize the tech that is going to be at hand for you to use. Just briefly, I know the artificial intelligence topic, when it comes specifically to the supply chain and transport sector, it's quite vague in terms of how far it's already been adopted. Where can we see usages of this already? Where do we see potential for next immediate usages of that? It's an open-ended and continuous changing space. I think some of the examples I've listed here are ones that I think should seem quite familiar to you. We know that in the demand planning and inventory management space, in terms of forecasting for stock availability, for replenishment, has already deep roots in artificial intelligence, algorithmic tools that help and make better decision making. We know that there's concepts already in South Africa of dark warehouses. Put off the lights, it will still run, no potential human interference with certain segments of the warehouse. We know that, for example, in transport, the route optimization is already something which many operators are using, and a lot or most technology vendors are putting in place and have got there. So these are things that we know. But how many of the usages of artificial intelligence are we only gripping or touching on? I wanted to take one specific topic which I think can really make a big impact, and that's pricing. Imagine we can get to a world where in the transport space, when we do price management, it can be dynamic enough to know variables that we are not even considering. To which clientele in which region, where historic data is factored in, are we making a proper, specific, customized pricing solution versus going back to just traditional matrix that said I need to have a certain revenue per kilometer to make the wheels turn. Imagine a world where we can factor in seasonal aspects on history data, given where your business is at that exact time where you need to give the price, and ability to give that price instantly. Imagine how we can quickly react if we had the tools on top of the underlying data to be able to make that type of decision. And this is happening more and more. The data is there, we know that. And you'll see today the applications that are available for you to collect and get that data, is powerful. What you do from there and how you start factoring in more of these data massage, data utilization tools, like within the AI realm, that's where the magic can start to happen. And that's where you will need that skill set and that culture that says we are driving towards innovation and we want to get that operational in our business. So just final takeaways, just to set the table for the rest of the speakers. I think what's evident is that we are in a inflection point. Things have changed. They are not going back to the old ways. That is how the world will look like going forward in terms of it is digital and it will become even more digital. Where we find ourselves in operational transport businesses as traditional a certain resource allocation, we have to think hard of how we continue that. How do we repurpose resources to feed this technological drive versus fighting towards it? The rate of change has obviously never been as high. So this is not only for clients that are adopting and utilizing or installing technology. It's also for the ones building technology at the rate that the demand of what they need to build and to compete needs to keep up. So this is a ever-changing environment between clients wanting more, suppliers building more, and the rate really does just incrementally jump, and we need to navigate those waters to know what makes sense and what doesn't. And then the last thing, this is a quote that gets used more often these days, and it says your job is not going to be taken by AI, but it might be taken by somebody utilizing AI. And I think, again, take that back to your own operation on where that's relevant or not. But for me, the biggest focus of that statement is face it head on. This is not going away. The fact that we are digitizing either your counterparts, your clients, your suppliers, your eco-environment is digitizing. Are you shoving it around? Are you taking it head on? Or are you in between? It doesn't matter, but it's not going to go away. So I think purposing yourself to making sure that you can get on hold of that, get to suppliers that you trust, that you can get onto the journey and start. If you haven't, and those that have started, keep on. Evolve, uplift skills, and continue. So for today's panel, we have some, different sets of skills, different angles. We have some of our partners that are specifically focusing within the cab itself, where the driver lives, what device they use, what technology lives within the realm of the cab itself. Very exciting for you to see what's coming out of that space. And then obviously when you go into the operational room, what operational tools are available for you to either manage revenue or cost or analytics, reporting, or for example, what do you do with the data when it comes to vehicle financing, or what do you do with the data when you need to manage en route aspects like fuel or maintenance? So it's a big topic. Obviously, we're going to touch on some of it. Hopefully, the takeaway for today is, one, what applications are there available? How are they currently being adopted? And that you can see how they are currently integrated. Because it does really become a seamless environment if you navigate it in that way and if you utilize it in that way. So with no further ado, if I can please ask the panel to come forward. So the structure that we'll have is It is, we call it the Masterclass for navigating the waters forward. We really want to try and have a little bit of interaction as far as possible. So the panel will be here. Every panelist will come up and introduce their solution and have a seat back. And then we'll pose, there will be a poll at some of those end of each presentation. And then an opportunity for 1 or 2 questions. Not necessarily just for that speaker, but for the panel, where we potentially can unpack it a bit more. So thank you very much for being here. Thank you for you know all the support. And if the panel can please make their way forward. Thank you all for also being here. In no specific order or preference, the speakers or the list will represent from top to bottom. I don't think it. So we do have a icebreaker poll that's more relevant to the topic at hand. So I don't know, Harry, if you can help us. Are we ready to do that? So the question is, oh, Harry, I don't have to read it. It's going to come up, right?
Come up. It will come up. Let's just have people join in again. You can see on the screen the code there again.
Unfortunately, this prize doesn't have, or this poll doesn't have a prize attached to it, but from there on forward, all of them do. So those that are unwilling, please to participate. So the question is leading towards the topic today. It is a leading question which speaks to where are you in the realm of your digitization? There's no right or wrong answer. Where you are is where you are. But where you want to be is potentially the question you have to leave yourself with after that.
So we have, those of you who don't know yet, you type in menti.com in your browser, and then the system will prompt you for the code, which is at the top of the screen. And please type in your name so that we can see who participated. But okay, I think maybe let's go to the question then. Here it comes. Oh, sorry, next one. Oh, sorry, man, I'm making a mistake here. Sorry, my apologies.
That's why I call it the icebreaker. No?
Yeah. Okay, there we come. What describes your current state of digitalization best?
Yes, we do use this for market research. Right, where are we? Center. Implementing. Right? Wonderful. Interesting, eh? All right. Thanks, Harry.
Thank you, Renke.
So please remember there's going to be a couple of these throughout the session. So don't put your phone away too far or not be ready for those. Like I mentioned, they will forward. So let's head into the first panelist, speaker, Steve, Fleet co-founder. Lovely to have you here. It's your second edition. Flew in from Durban last night, so lovely to have you, and very excited to listen to you. Thank you.
Cool. Awesome. Thanks, Renke. Thanks, everyone. Appreciate getting the opportunity to talk here once again. I think for those of you that don't know Fleetit and what Fleetit is, we're basically a fleet cost and information management tool, managing your costs of your assets pretty much from when you purchase it through to when you sell it. And all your fixed and variable costs get input into the system and processed through the system in some way or form. But really what makes a difference is how you take that information and use it to make some digital enhancements in your business. So digitization in 2025. More importantly, how do we use digitization to move forward effectively. So digitization in business, as I think Renko pretty nicely put together, refers to the use of digital technologies to change business models, streamline operations, enhance customer experiences, and improve decision making. Which is great to hear, but what does that actually mean? What are the actual tools? How do you do it? What do you have to do to take on a digital approach? So I've bucketed 4 different sectors or segments that I believe digitization takes place in. One of them is workflow automation. That's automating repetitive rule-based processes, which can save time, reduce human error, and increase consistency. Digital data transformation, moving from paper or analog systems to digital formats, digitizing data capturing and processing and replacing paper-based records. Digital interfaces and experiences, implementing easy-to-adopt web-based systems, mobile apps, self-service portals, and IT devices that customers or employees are comfortable to use, much like the likes of all our speakers and panelists today. And then probably the most exciting one, as Renko touched on, is our AI automation. So handling decision-based or intelligent tasks that enable businesses to go beyond the rules of self-learning systems. The bottom 2 that you see, the digital data transformation and digital interfaces and experiences, is probably where most of you are at when you answered that poll. Hopefully, most of you are eliminating paper-based processes, eliminating analog systems, and you're using some form of system that's going down a digital journey. But where I want to touch on today and try and simplify is workflow automation and AI automation. So workflow automation, I thought best to show you touch on a few examples of how Fleeted's actually handling workflow automation. I think one of the key things and really critical to actually any of this digitization working is master data and making sure your master data is right and integrating that into all your data processing. So that means choosing a system or choosing a source of your master data and making sure that it's kept to truth in that place and having that integrate to all your other systems. It's critical to all of this automation and AI processing to work properly. Imagine a world where inspections take place on your mobile app. That automatically creates an issue or a maintenance defect, and from there, you're automatically creating a job card. Or a status being flagged as a vehicle not available, not being able to go on the road, automatically raising a maintenance issue, but at the same time, sending a trigger to CtrlFleet and telling them that they can't use that vehicle for dispatching. Service notifications, automating the purchase order capturing of the expense, or templatized purchase orders, not only simplifying and speeding up the process of creating purchase orders for your business, but also managing any overcharges that happen. And since we've implemented that, you'd be surprised at how much overcharging is actually happening. Auto-categorization, triggering exceptions of notifications. So this means so we are sitting in a world where no longer you have to rely on the data capturer to understand that a certain item is a battery category or a clutch category, and you can automate those processes so that your exceptions in management of misuse is enhanced. Using telematics integrations to automatically schedule vehicles for inspections the minute they arrive into the depot, or the minute stock is issued onto a job card, implementing and starting the process for inventory ordering, planning, and allocation of your stock to the different jobs. And then managing your labor hours and making sure that the minute the team are running over the expected labor hours, that your foreman's able to intervene and prevent any overuse of time. The next is really exciting, and that's AI automation. So AI, as Renko said, is a daunting world for all of us, especially in the transport sector, where we're just trying to get a hold of the digital side of things, right? But it's really important to take on, and we're in a stage, as I think Renko highlighted, that AI, if you're not using AI at the moment, you're going to fall behind very, very fast. So in Fleeted, over the last year, we've been building some really cool AI tools in the background that we're about to start releasing to the market. One of those is customized insights guiding daily activities. These are curated insights based on the user's profile, their settings, their roles, and their responsibilities to make sure that they're no longer deciding on what the important task of the day is, and that the system's telling them what the important task of the day is. That might be highlighting to them that they've got 12 service POs that they need to approve, and that their estimated service costs are going to go up by 10% for the month that they can feed back on. Or inspection compliance is up 12%, but if they complete another 15, they're going to meet their 100% compliance for the first time. Or highlighting that a specific vehicle's fuel loss for the last week was 12,000 Rand, and it's time to start getting involved in investigating what's going on. And then the next side of it is our AI fleet bot that we're about to launch or put in the market. I read an interesting article the other day, and it highlighted that we are moving to a world where static reporting and static dashboards are going to be a thing of the past. And you now need to start using your curated reporting and curated dashboards based on what you need to see and when you need to see it. The report you pull today might not need to be the same report you pull tomorrow, because suddenly in the ever-changing market, you need to see information slightly differently. So that chatbot or that AI bot's going to pretty much think of it as your little AI administrator that you get to ask the questions for those results. So examples: highlight the top 3 depots with the worst fuel consumption. What stock items are below our reorder limits and which should I be reordering? How many vehicles require major services next month? Generate me a report highlighting my fleet maintenance costs compared to the last 6 months with a bar graph. Use this PDF from a quote to start creating a purchase order for my supplier. All of those things are automated, things that historically took tons of time sifting through data, often inaccurate reporting, that can now be managing through all your data and giving you the information that you need. But where it really gets powerful is when you merge the two together. So AI and workflow automations working together. So picture this: your Fleetit AI insight prompts the fleet administrator about a missed inspection. The vehicle gets called into the depot, which triggers an auto scheduling of the inspection. During the inspection, a critical issue is flagged that marks the asset to off the road due to a maintenance failure. Automatically, the TMS, CtrlFleet, receives the prompt from Fleetit and the vehicle is blocked from being dispatched, whilst the foreman receives the notification to call the vehicle into the workshop and opens the job card directly from the flagged issue. Whilst reviewing the other open issues for the vehicle, it's identified that its next service is within range, and the pre-populated job card with all the required parts is created. Stock requisitions trigger that there are parts that need to be ordered by the workshop manager, whilst at the same time, your labor time is monitored closely to ensure the time is completed within plan. And the end result is a job completed within hours and the vehicle available for dispatch much quicker than it historically would have been. So that is an example of how we can take AI and automation and workflow automation and merge them together to streamline and speed up the processes that we're working on in our operations. And I've got my warning. So that's my timer. So yeah, if you want to find out more, want to hear a little bit more about how we're doing and tackling AI, feel free to reach out to us. But yeah, any questions?
Harry, do we have the mobile mic, and do we keep it at the panel? Thanks. Thank you. That's very practical. Thank you for making that example. And you know what I love about that energy for where I said in the start, utilize AI. It's not going to take your job, but maybe repurpose that you use it better. So instead of coming in and starting your day as a shift manager and you needing to factor in all the important things to know what is the most important, take that issue is taken out of your desk. You can go straight into execution mode. So yeah, beautiful example of how that really becomes practical. So I think I want to ask this question for the panel, or when it comes to fleet manage the cost side for transporters. I think we all know fuel, ranks top highest cost. What do you feel is the cost element in terms of the rest of cost management that the transport operators need to do, where there's the biggest room for more improvement, which they are not getting a grip on when it comes, and how they can improve it with technology even better? Anybody? Steve, you feel?
Yeah, I can go. So yeah, I mean, obviously for the longest time, fuel's been the one that we've all focused on. And I don't think that's changing. I think there's more and more need to investigate fuel costs and where your fuel losses are. Something we've been doing recently is we've helped a lot of customers templatizing their jobs, their maintenance costs, and holding their suppliers to fixed costs in terms of what those maintenance costs are. And in doing that practice, we picked up, or a lot of our customers picked up, significant amounts of overcharging that is happening on their jobs. So a good example, the OEM spec for a certain service requires 12 liters of engine oil to be used at a service. Once templatizing the process for our customer and they reviewed the quote to what the actual templatized job was, we picked up the significant amount of times that they were getting charged 18, 20, 22 liters for that same job. And whilst it might be small numbers at, you know, 1 or 2 jobs, when you've got a fleet of 1,000 vehicles and you've got a ton of services going through, that starts adding up very, very quickly. And that's just one tiny, tiny example of where we picked up some options to take digitization to simplify the administrator's job to be able to find the issues that are happening in the business.
Super relevant. Anybody else that wants to take a... Alan?
Technology is not always your friend. Renke, yeah, I think from my side, a vital space to continue to keep your eye on is the operator inside the vehicle and the associated cost drivers that's controlled by that driver. It's not about the stick, it's about the coaching opportunities with that operator, from overspeeding, which contributes to your fuel problem, to idling and how that affects your maintenance spend, safety, fatigue management, that obviously drives your insurance costs and accident ratio. So I think using the technologies that's available and some of the AI and machine vision technology that's available to really zoom into how do you upskill that operator, and not use the data to say warning 1, warning 2, but taking that workforce and upskilling them into efficient operators of that vehicle that's driving the same strategy as the company. I think that's a massive role to cost within the transport sector.
Yeah. Any question? We'll allow for one question out of the audience. Harry, I'm pretty sure if somebody online wanted to post a question, we can get that there. Anybody in the room? Okay. Yes. Lovely. I think, Harry, I'm putting you on the spot here. But that nifty tool you have, with that camera, mobile camera going into the audience, yes, that was a crowd favorite last year. No worries. Thank you, Steve.
All right. I think it's Charles Day. Yeah, Charles Day. To what extent has organized labor been brought aboard in the industry's digitization implementation journey? To what extent are leaders working with the CITAs to develop skills and programs, qualifications which will equip workers to effectively implement digitized processes and procedures?
That's 1 or 2 questions, eh? Is that suppose? Okay. Anybody that wants to take thank you. Thanks, Danielle.
So I can only speak from sort of my lens, which is on the mobility side, but there's a huge opportunity to move away from classroom-based skill training and actually start to use the mobile devices as a digital classroom. So we all know, not just within the transportation side with drivers, there's a fortune of idle time. It's very difficult to get drivers into a room. Often the training's quite draconian and outdated and not necessarily in line with the real-time struggles that they're dealing with. So one of the projects we currently working on, which is quite interesting with one of the big transportation companies, is how do you cross-subsidize your fleet of operations devices by turning them into a mobile classroom? And then how do you start to take a lot of the static CETA approved material and actually turn it into digital video content that enables you to change that material very quickly, and also enables drivers, while they're waiting, to upskill in small micro learning increments, so that there's relevant topics with audit trails around what they're able to do. And at the end of the year, using that SDL spend to actually contribute towards reducing operational expenses.
Excellent.
And in that way, I think the mobility devices that organizations are already paying for could be utilized in a far more cost-effective and a far more efficient way from a learning and development perspective.
Excellent. All right, I think let's move on then. We've got the crowd warmed up, so the questions will flow. All right, so second to the panel, pleasure to introduce to you Greg Nyker from PowerFleet. He's the VP of Operations, and very excited to have you. Like always, Greg, thanks for making the effort. Appreciate it.
feedback. Thank you, Renko. Couple of things. I got up this morning and I don't know what happened to the weather. I didn't want to get out of bed, but I don't know if it's because you landed this morning, Renko. I'm not sure. But it is quite cold, and so thanks everybody for braving it. And I appreciate the opportunity and giving me some of your time to talk about PowerFleet, what we're doing in the market. I guess the first question is, who is PowerFleet? It's something new that everybody's talking about. And let me explain quickly. I think as a business, mixed telematics has been around for quite a while, since 1994. And we have been, as part of Mix, we've been a proud South African business where we designed, developed, and manufactured products for telematics solutions in South Africa and about 100 countries around the world. We were very proud of that. PowerFleet, also a provider of telematics solutions in different territories around the world. The two businesses joined forces a few years ago. And today it took us to the third largest telematics provider worldwide. We've got just over 48,000 customers that we are servicing in and around solutions with regards to not just digitization, but management of different elements within business. About 2.8 million vehicles with devices running around the world today, communicating, transferring data, and allowing us to do stuff with that data. And I'm going to talk a bit today about what we're doing with it. Our go-to-market strategy is somewhat different than the normal telematics, and we took an approach of first understanding what the market's actually saying. And I'm going to talk to a little bit about statistics around what is actually happening and where things are moving towards, and what we've seen and why we've done things the way that the way that we did it. I think from a and I know that I'm speaking to a lot of smart minds in the room today, where and some of the elements that we're gonna go through, and I know that in your minds, late is a 4-letter word, and real time is the only acceptable time. So this brings about, and how we manage it, it brings about visibility. It talks a lot about real time visibility, and I want to point out, specifically for CtrlFleet and Renko and his team, in and around plan versus actual, bringing that visibility to the fore. It's what customers are asking for today, and you guys are doing a great job, Renko. I think it is making a mark in the industry, and as PowerFleet, we're very proud of the fact that there's an alignment, and we're moving towards some good things going forward. Just as PowerFleet, the last thing about us, we're very proud based on our approach. We looked at various different elements, and digitization is key. The way that our strategy was put together, the innovation that we brought to the table just this year, we're very proud of the fact that we were ranked #1 in innovation around the world from an ABI perspective. And, it tells us that we're doing things the right way, that we're asking the right questions, and we're moving forward in where we want to go. I think if there's one constant in the world today, it's that technology is never standing still. That's true, and we've seen it on a daily basis. Every day we're seeing change, not just incremental, but transformational as well. And at the forefront of this evolution, we've seen, a big uptake in camera technology. We've seen that as a forefront, and it's becoming increasingly clear. Camera technology is leading the charge. From advanced imaging to computer vision to real-time data processing, cameras are no longer just looking. They're no longer just seeing. The AI technology is there today. They're thinking, they're detecting, they're analyzing, and they're enabling smarter
and faster decisions in real time today. And I'm going to show you some of the things that we're doing in and around it. What was quite interesting is that, you know, digital transformation is key. You know, we've seen that as a number one contributor, leveraging high quality data, automating manual processes. We've seen customers asking for that today. Customers are wanting to do more with less. And how do you actually digitize that? Also, a key market driver today is the normal elements around safety, around compliance, operational efficiency, and sustainability. I think when we went to the market to actually do a little bit of research, there are a few things that stood out for us. Number one, what we saw was that C-suites, you know, is a priority. It's a number one priority within the C-suite space today, digital transformation. What is quite interesting that it seems like only 3% have fully achieved an integrated, agile, digital AI-led ecosystem. So people are wanting to do it, but not lots have done it yet. Yet, 85% of executives are saying that the transformational impact will affect their business over the next 5 years. So it needs to happen today. And that's quite interesting. It made us think a little bit differently around how we want to go to market. It made us think a little bit differently around telematics. And it made us, you know, look at things in a way that the way the world is moving. It's quite clear, you know, when you take hyperconnectivity, IoT and AI is at the forefront. And to be honest, it's no longer concepts of the future. They're here today. They're driving automation, they're optimizing operations, and they're reshaping how we think about safety, efficiency, compliance, and sustainability. And at Powerfleet, we see this as a massive opportunity. Our go-to-market strategy is simple, but it's bold. And, you know, we ultimately innovate where we must, and we always move forward. You know, that's what we want to achieve. What was also quite interesting is we looked at not just what the market's asking for, but what are the hurdles? What are the stumbling blocks from us getting there today? And what we found was, you know, data silos between different departments is a massive inhibitor. Looking at data, how it's been pierced, fixing it, putting it together. It's 40% of business today is feeling the pain. Also, you know, what was quite interesting, 10% of the time is spent on strategic execution, which is quite minimal. You know, just looking at data, 30% of time, 30% of time is spent on just stitching that data together because of the silos. 25% is actually finding the data, reporting on it, etc. So if you automate a lot of those different realities and put it into a single pane, it'll give you the opportunity to execute better on a daily basis. Another element is quality. You know, the quality of the data. 50% of people today, and we've seen, for example, within our environment, customers have an average of 4 telematics providers per fleet today. And what that means is 4 different logins, 4 different dashboards, 4 different systems to actually manage on a daily basis. 57% of teams today are managing vendors, more vendors than they did 2 years ago. And it's just increasing. So the strategy that we totally focused on is this Unity AIoT platform. And what it does is it gives us the ability today to ingest different types of data. It doesn't matter what data it is, any telematics information, any camera information. We have the ability today, and we've been running it for a few months already. We have the ability to ingest that data into a single pane of glass. We then harmonize that data, which includes elements of OEM information, camera information, telematics information, HR information, people information into a single pane of glass, We harmonize that data for customers today, and we use our modular AI applications to actually drive sustainable information to customers. So it takes away the silos. It allows us then to operate in different industries, in different verticals, and it gives us the ability to engage with customers in whether it's on the road, off the road. 5 minutes left, thank you. Whether it's on the road, off the road, or relative to what customers are actually wanting to achieve. How do we do that and the impact that it makes to customers? We give them accurate and complete data flowing from our data highway, which we call Unity today. It allows them to integrate these key systems, which are no longer disconnected, and it takes away the silos. And ultimately, we now have the ability to improve performance of the assets, of the individuals that's managing those assets, and the business process that's linked to what we're trying to achieve on a daily basis. I know that I've got 5 minutes left. At a level of what we're trying to achieve, we're trying to bring these technologies together, the camera systems, the sensors, AI, telematics, into a single pane of glass with a crystal clear view, one that gives our customers total visibility, full control, without needing to toggle between 5 systems and 3 dashboards. And it gives them that usability today. We're not here to follow trends. We're here to set them, and by solving real-world challenges and helping our customers become more efficient, more agile, and more sustainable. So as we navigate this ever-changing landscape of logistics and technology, I'll leave you with just one single thought. Companies today, the companies that will win tomorrow, are the ones that see clearly today. We know what we want to achieve. We know where the data sits. We need to put it together, stitch it together, and we offer that to our customers. And because in our industry, visibility isn't just a power, it's profitability, it's safety, and it's survival. It's an element that we are focusing very strongly on today. So I'm happy to take any questions, and I'll be around during and afterwards as well. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Greg. Very insightful. I know there's a poll coming up. Maybe, Harry, if you want to get that ready. While you do that, I have a question for you, Greg. I know you travel a lot. I know you were in the Middle East, directly into the States and back a couple of days ago. When you look at comparing digitization, and let's make it a blanket question. And out of your sphere, it might be telematics or not. I think you deal with a lot of other applications. Region comparison, if one can do that. How would you say the South African logistics space compares with adoption of tech versus the counterparts in the areas that you've visited?
Thanks, Rinku. We should be very proud. I think we are very much leading the charge. I think we're adopting it holistically, and I think we see things differently. There are different verticals. So, for example, we look a lot at safety in South Africa. We look a lot at security. In Dubai, not so much. They look at efficiency. So it allows us to cross-pollinate those needs accordingly. However, there are other areas that so the efficiency element that we're driving in Dubai, we can bring into South Africa and vice versa. But I must tell you that as a South African, it makes me very proud that, our adoption is at the forefront. I think we're doing things right, and I think we're looking at it in the right way.
Excellent. Yeah, sometimes there's perceptions of things where, who's lagging in tech adoption or not. Yeah. Okay. I think, Gary, the question that's being posed is slightly, looking towards the in-cab camera solution. So let's just give a moment for that to pop up. Right, Harry, I can't read it from here, but if you allow me, or if you don't mind.
All right, the question is, in-cab cameras are evolving at a rapid pace. What is your top priority?
Interesting. So, Harry, just if you can help me out, Jeff, I can't, the second option, just repeat what's that?
Okay, the first option is reliable continuous video feed, and then the second one is analytics to alert on issues.
Okay.
That's the one that's got the most.
No surprise. I think, yeah, maybe we can pose that as the first question. Panel, that world is moving rapidly fast. AI, I think, is the adoption in that space is already, much further than most of us anticipate. Any comment?
Yeah, if you'll allow me. So I think 100% right, and it's quite interesting. I think AI is coming more and more to the fore. I think what customers are wanting to do today is prevent accidents before they happen and get visibility around it in real time. There is a massive element of human factor that we need to take into consideration, and the operational reality around time, hours of service, driving time, etc., and the cost associated to the maintenance, the cost associated to having drivers off the road. I think what technology is bringing today, and for example, there's a safeguard approach where using AI technology, taking different data sets into account in real time while you're driving, the position of the sun, fatigue, oncoming traffic, pedestrians, the status of the road, and AI technology is available today that factors drivers into a risk element. At that point in time, right now, is he high risk and is he low risk, or is he medium risk? The technology is available, and we're doing it for customers today in and around that. And I know we've had a couple of customers come down to a Unity Operations Center where we've got teams, high risk drivers in real time, is then called through the camera, live streamed, guided to a safe area to actually pull off, take a break, and decisions need to be made. So in other words, prevent accidents from happening before it actually happens. And that's driven by AI today. And I think, I'm seeing it more and more, and that's just going to evolve. It's quite clear.
Good. The rest of the panel, I'm pretty sure there's more.
Maybe if I can add, yes, camera technology and AI definitely playing a massive role in the industry at this moment. And yes, the goal is to prevent that accident from happening or from not happening while the operator is on the road. But I think what's also important is to then have a data form where you can use that technology to build coaching models, and in some of our instances, pushing that coaching directly to the driver's handset after the trip has been concluded, so you can self-coach. In many instances, when you fast brake, you don't know you fast braked. You're just operationally running your vehicle. But then using that data for a coaching opportunity and measuring adoption of that coaching. There's no need telling the driver he's harsh braked if you can't measure the adoption of the training that's taken place over time. And then also using some of this data to make sure that the people that's training the driver on that efficiency is also using the best practices and having an impact on coaching the driver not to affect some of those things that happen in the vehicle. So in the cab, very important. But then outside the cab, using that data to really form practical coaching modules that improves efficiencies over time.
That feels like an area that has really leaped, eh? I think the past all the days of using cameras just for incident management, calling back to call a file to know what happened to, manage a risk or insurance claim. That magnitude of data is now becoming proactive. It really, I think operators that are not making that use of cameras and taking it to that next level, that's the quickest place I anticipate where, you're really going to feel left behind very quickly. All right. I think, Harry, you can probably tell us who was the quickest to answer that previous poll, because there's a gift that Esther would like to hand over. Or ship to your nearest...
It was Trefilia again.
Again, well, there we go. On a roll. There's no rules here for only one prize, one person. The quickest trigger wins. All right.
Renko, I just want to know, can I also give my phone to you?
Yeah. Right. I think because it is potentially a daunting topic from some. Any questions from the audience about? Yes, knew that. Good. If you don't mind, just to identify yourself and then pose the
Sorry,
question.
just a moment. Just a moment.
Ah, there it comes, the gadget.
Yep.
Can I go? Oh. Now I'm very nervous. Yeah, folks, I'm IT. I'm really not into trucks and whatever. But my question though is, and this is something I've sort of thought about, a few years already, and I'm not too sure what the latest sort of technologies are available on transporting vehicles out there. My question is real-time sort of prevention telematics methods for the equipment. So my question is, if a truck drives out there on the freeway, currently, are there telematics that measuring the engine for is the engine healthy, and then send that data or information real-time back to ops to actually tell the driver, hey, your engine is not well. Then also, if we talk about cameras, do we have cameras on the equipment, on the truck, and looking at tires that are sort of, becoming flat and things like that? And I'm talking about lots of times I drive on a freeway and I see here's a truck. You can see the inside tires like coming off, but this driver is carrying on. For me, that's a dangerous situation because that rubber can potentially cause accidents and things like that. And then also my major frustration, I think, and maybe a lot of other people, you drive on a freeway and things are stopping. And when you get to the front, here's this truck. And it broke down there where it is. And to me, I've got, for me, like I say, for me, there should be telematics real time streaming back to ops to say, hey, there's something wrong with this engine. It's overheating. There's, a problem. Get all of the driver to say, hey, guy, you need to pull off. Is something like that available? Is it happening already? Or is it also something we're still looking into the future? Sorry, thanks.
Maybe if I can answer, I can only answer from a CTRAC perspective. I think adoption of technology is massively important, and the choice what you adopt in the transport operation is still a choice and still something that you need to adopt. From a tire perspective, there's tire pressure monitoring systems that in real time notify the operations room of any potential damage while on road. From a telematics perspective, there's technology that reads the CAN information from that vehicle and also relates that back to operation in real time. But I think what's becoming more and more important, and with some of our devices, we've got artificial intelligence running on the edge on that device that can make decisions in real time without human intervention, warning the driver in cab in real time, maybe even reducing the speed or stopping idling from taking place in real time without that human intervention. So the technologies are available. Adoption, and I think that's what we're speaking about today, is how do you need to progress in digitization to become that efficient operator. The technologies are available in that space.
I'd just like to echo the sentiment. So yes, it is available. I think an agnostic platform from a digitization perspective is quite key. There are telematics devices today, like he's saying, but trucks are also reading this information in real time. The trucks also have the ability to transfer this information in real time, but something needs to happen with it. And there's a process that's linked to it. It needs to go to a workshop. Somebody needs to be dispatched. The ETAs need to be visible for the maintenance guy to get to the vehicle. And the driver needs to be safe while he's standing on the road. And people around him need to be safe while he's standing on the road. And this is where technology is coming into play, right? So 8-channel cameras, 12-channel cameras, looking at different areas of vehicles, real-time engine management information, driver management information. That's all available today, and it's a question of putting it into a single platform in order to understand end-to-end what the process looks like and what the safety around it looks like. So very valid question. Thank you.
Good. I just want to remind everybody, and I'm very conscious of those online, if anything you're hearing today entices you or really potentially even worries you because you know you're either being left out or you have no clue what's being said, this is why we have today. This is why this panel is here. They want you to contact them. They are telling you about this service for that very reason. So yeah, if anywhere you're picking up on something, the details will be shared. And that is what we are doing here. We want to tell you what's out there, and we want you to make contact with the relevant suppliers and see and engage. So yeah, thank you very much. Let's move on to the next speaker. Very happy for Danielle to be here, the fairest of us all. She represents and is the managing director of an exciting company called Mint. Thank you very much for your preparation.
Thank you. Right. I'm a little shorter, clearly, than a lot of the gentlemen here. So thank you for your time. I think just looking at a lot of what's been presented already, there's a theme around the stage of digitization that everybody's embarked on. So when we look at digitization, we know that it's prolific in logistics and supply chain, and there's a massive push towards this theory of transformation. And when I look at transformation, or we've been exposed to transformation from Mint's perspective, which is really helping companies that have appified their business create a mobile environment that allows for that backbone and allows for that technology to really enable the software. So the hardware to enable the software is really our speciality. It's not, we don't just sell devices or rent devices and MDM solutions and connectivity packages. We're technical problem solvers, and we're helping companies figure out how to solve their operational problems utilizing the power and the intelligence of mobile devices of all sorts. So when we look at digitization, we've almost got this continuum of reactive, which is paper-based, very intensive, disconnected, etc., all the way through to, I think, what a lot of the previous speakers have been talking about, which is this proactive approach of predictive AI and predictive maintenance and analytics. And I think everybody in this room probably falls somewhere within that journey, whether you've automated and you're in the implementation phase. As we can see, I think there's been an evolution of technology from paper to automated, digitized, where the buzzword was real-time visibility. Everybody just wanted a dashboard, right? Where you could see a picture and it gave you the sense of relief that you knew what was going on. Didn't matter that it happened 5 hours before or 4 days before. And then there's been this evolution into, I think, where most of the transporters sit now, which is around smart system convergence, where they're realizing that there's so many different companies that are offering applications and are offering software and have digitized processes. But again, each of them sit within their speciality, and it tends to be quite fragmented or disconnected. And so there's been this large push for almost this convergence, or what we're calling now the buzzword integrated insight, right? You want integrated insight, real-time visibility, and now integrated insight. And so the idea of that is taking all of these different software technologies and merging them into kind of a single centralized way of being able to make sense of what's going on in your world. And I guess the next evolution, I'll just skip a little ahead. So we've spoken about just the visibility, and I guess the next evolution now is really about saying, how do we move to a space where we can use AI technology to be able to be more proactive and more predictive about what's going to come, as opposed to just dealing with what's happening in real time. And I think logistics companies sitting somewhere within that continuum have to acknowledge that irrespective of what software provider you're choosing, really what underpins all of that is the appification process, and really what we specialize in is smart mobility. And that is the fact that the unsung hero, or really the nervous central system of your operations, is actually a mobility device, really, at the core of it. And so we like to say that logistics apps is the brain of your supply chain, and your mobility device is the central nervous system. And if you've got a problem with your central nervous system, well, I guess we all know what happens from there. So my masterclass today is really around this unsung hero and this journey of understanding what most people insultingly call hardware. We call your command center of your operations. And I think that's the mindset shift that we're trying to get across to transporters. Is you'll go and you'll spend a huge amount of money. Sorry, let me just go back a little bit. I don't know what I'm doing here. Sorry. I don't know if I'm going back, if I'm going.
Bottom one.
Okay. Oh, I'm shooting across 5 different presentations here, so you'll have to just bear with me. Sorry. So interestingly, in our world, there's 2 universal truths. One is that every single person in your operation is going to land up with a mobile device, irrespective of what job they have. So whether it's reps out on the road, or whether it's drivers in a vehicle, or warehouse operations that have already got scanning devices and are using RFID, etc., all the way through to your safety, no one really thinks about the convergence of all of these different mobility devices, and whether you've got the right kit of parts, the right accessories, whether they're working in the most efficient way. Those devices are not hardware, they're mobile offices. And very often we don't think about how we are enabling that mobile office to an individual. So I've put up a little bit of a slide, which is really to look at 2 things. So one is that typically either organizations have a bring your own device model, and if they haven't experienced excruciating pain of that, then they're living in a parallel universe, because a bring your own device policy for any type of driver on the road is sacrilege from a security perspective, but also just from the ability to be able to ensure that the applications you really need for your operations are in a contained environment. But then people will go out and buy a package from a network and get the cheapest possible device, but they've spent millions of rands on their software, and they've got a truck with all the bells and whistles, the cameras, whatever it is, but they literally don't want to spend more than 400 rand on a device of a driver. And we're going, but this is where all of your data efficacy converges, and any downtime in this device is literally wrecking every type of report you think you're going to be getting. And so from our perspective, we look at it and say a mobility asset is more than just a device and a connectivity package. It's really what sits below the waterline, which is where all the pain really sits within operations. And that's things like your device management, so being able to close off or restrict what's happening on those devices, down to the level of understanding around what's happening in real time, what information is being sent and transferred, what applications are being uploaded, and what deployment versions, etc. But when we look at our space, even that really only talks to uptime, which if we look at a mobility kind of continuum, similarly to what I suppose each person in this room is looking at from a digitization perspective, when you look at your mobility performance, you're really looking at kind of a continuum as well. So uptime and utilization, just the question of, are the guys even using these things? Have they even adopted the technology? Are these things even working in the field at a very basic level? All the way down to what level of controls and insight are we starting to glean from the device, down to where we really sit, which is how do you start to use this as a smart computer, not a dumb phone or a single purpose work tool, to be able to really use it as a sophisticated kind of computer, where you can start to create a whole smart mobility environment and solve real operational challenges. And I'll get to a little bit about what that looks like. So typically when we engage with a customer, we'll say to them, how many devices have you got? Where are they? How many haven't been seen in the last 2 days or in the last week? That's a clear indication they've been stolen or they're not in use. Who they even assigned to? Do you know right now where they all are, who they've been assigned to, what each and every device is costing you, what apps are running, and has your data even been compromised? Has a driver unknowingly or unsuspectedly downloaded a game that's basically swiped all the information directly off your device? Every photo he's taken, every single thing he's done, and how does that compromise your operations when you're spending so much money on InfoSec trying to make sure guys don't hack into your network, but your mobile device, which tells you everything there is to know about your operation, is sitting there with kind of unfettered access. So how much troubleshooting are you doing on a daily basis? And so when we look at the complexity of mobility devices, we don't look at it in a traditional way to say, well, is it the right hardware and is it fit for purpose? We look at it to say, where are you on that continuum around how you're utilizing it? If for us, uptime and utilization is basic. If you're locked into a 12 or 24-month rental with a network, you've got a problem because your hardware should be supporting the adoption of your software. And if you're sweating an asset, you're derailing your entire tech journey. So from our perspective, we want to give clients the flexibility of saying, you're embarking on a new project, here, take a batch of devices, test them, see if they work. Let's see how they connect with your software providers. Let's engage with the software providers to see what problems they're trying to solve for you and which mobility device is actually going to enable that functionality for you. So things like flexibility become really important. A device is what you need for the next 6 months. It's cheap, it's effective, but now you go and spend, I don't know, 20 million Rand on new software, and there's a whole bunch of features and functionality that this device is just not going to give you, but you're sweating that asset. So the whole way of looking at mobility devices today is around flexibility and how you scale up, you scale down. How do you start to get efficiencies in terms of those mobility devices? So how do you streamline that experience for whoever the user is, understand the context in which they're utilizing that, and start to create an environment that creates operational ease? And then the insights that you can start to tap into, just in terms of really turning a device into a tactical kind of command center, is things like your security layer. How are you preventing those devices from being hacked into? How are you adding your security patches? How are you protecting your IP and your data from competitors? All of your app deployments, how do you start to create a single device that touches on multiple agnostic software providers where all of them can live in a centralized device? And that centralized device can cope with all of the different needs of all of those different applications. Your asset management. Do you know anything about what you have, how much it's costing you? We were at a meeting not so long ago, and the CEO tossed his Porsche keys on the table in front of his ops executive, and he said to him, if you can tell me right now how many devices we have and who has them, you can have my car. Needless to say, he didn't drive home in a fancy new vehicle, but that level of insight around the device performance, battery levels, what's happening, etc., all the way down to that digitized asset register of being able, like you do in all your other areas, a real-time view of who has what, using what, how much it's costing you, whether it's effective, is as important as the digitization you've got in every other aspect of your business. Yet it seems like no operations executives or IT managers really pay much attention. The devices seem to be a hack or an afterthought or what nobody really wants to get involved in. And I think there's two reasons for that. One is because I think the world of mobility is changing so rapidly and there's no instruction manual. So unless you're physically in the trenches, testing the devices, enrolling different MDMs, comparing all those different mobile device management solutions and seeing what's coming next from Google, you sit within a very reactive space as an internal ops manager or an internal IT manager. And I think the role that we're trying to play is say to those guys, you do what you need to do. You focus on your core KPIs and your core stuff, and let us take the pain and the hassle and complexity out of managing these mobile devices and innovating for you. So just to end off and touch on the innovation component of things, there's a lot of projects that we've embarked on where companies will give us some of their challenges. So merchandising, for example. One of our clients does a lot of merchandising, and they've got gig workers that go and take pictures, and pictures are almost very critical around how things are positioned, damages, etc. And a lot of these guys were utilizing other people, like getting their cousin to go on the day for the job, right? So the pictures still get sent. It's still being logged in from the technology or the application, the merchandising application, but now you've got a security risk of somebody completely different taking his cousin's device from the day. So utilizing features and functionality like facial recognition or biometric access to be able to get into the device, understanding who has that device, whether they're operating within your standard operating procedures, all the way through to last mile delivery, where we've tried to kind of work with a last mile delivery company called Last Mile Fast, where there was so much food theft, drivers would eat some of the chips and whatever, some of the food products, rewrap it up because they would bribe the staff with stickers to reseal the food, and then the food gets delivered to your door and you're starving and you take out your packet of chips and you're not happy with your portion size and you complain, and then you get a free meal. And the poor restaurant has to fit the bill for that. So innovations around working with companies where the lockbox of that lockbox only opens in the geofence of the actual client's vicinity. So at the restaurant, it locks and it cannot open until the cell phone hits the geofence of the location of the delivery and it opens up, etc. All the way through to OTP codes where you've got very expensive parcels, a Louis Vuitton bag that needs to be delivered really quickly on a last mile bike, and it only opens up with a specialized code that a client gives. So there's a whole world of mobility that opens up the opportunity to solve complex problems and to innovate. And it really just requires, I guess, the right partner to listen to what your needs are, to listen to your pain points, and then to try and figure out, how to really utilize the functionality of that device to solve that problem. And I think that's what we're quite excited about, being in the mobility spaces. That's really our core focus. And we're engaging with a lot of software companies to see how we can enable their technology to deliver. I made it within 1 minute. Great. So thank you. Any questions or?
One word comes to mind when I listen to that, and that is kingpin. It's so relevant. I think 60 to 80% of the panelists around you are depending on the hardware that needs to be used in the cab. We are not in an autonomous world yet. I mean, Alan, you alluded to it twice already. We want the driver there. We want him as best as possible. We want to empower them as best as possible. And what is that? And how do we do that? And yeah, very, very, very relevant. Almost just as exciting as the poll that's going to happen now, where Mint is actually giving away one of those devices. So while you do that, Harry, if you don't mind. All right. So I think while the poll's coming up, because I also want that question itself on the poll, I would love you, Danielle, to have the first opportunity to answer that afterwards. But what I wanted to ask you just off the cuff, do you find that the price structures of that as an eco-environment, so many clients look at device hardware, the data, the control of, SIM control as one big cost element, which is not necessarily fair. Have you seen a decrease or in that cost in general, or has it remained quite consistent, or is it hard to have a price discussion about that so directly?
So I think there's probably a two-pronged response to that answer, and the one is that your mobile device cost probably sits as the cheapest cost in your entire business, considering it's your mobile office. If you think how much you spend on rent on a massive office, you think of how much you spend on training, just having one training room with a facilitator and catering for half the drivers not to rock up to that training session. If you think about the cost of your subscriptions for all of your software, and you look at it relative to the fact that this mobility device is literally the backbone that's driving not just one execution or implementation with a software partner, but the convergence of every single subscription or partner that you're utilizing for the entire data set of your business, it's about perspective, right? I think the second answer to your question is, I think that companies don't know how to procure smart. So you'll go and get sold into a Samsung A36 with a 10 gig data package, or you need redundancy, so you'll have an MTN or a Vodacom SIM in each slot and you're paying double fees. Companies don't know how to manage their costs effectively to solve their problems. And so what we're seeing is the critical nature of the device and connectivity is not going to go away. But where you need to find a partner that adds value is to be able to say, how do we understand the problem that we're trying to solve, and how do we do it in the most affordable way with the right device, with the right connectivity package, with the right level of visibility. It does not have to be expensive. I think we've proven to a lot of clients that we probably slashed their their current connectivity bill tenfold.
So it's perspective and also priority.
Yeah.
Its point is getting all that tech and then at the end try and have a cost discussion about how to utilize the tech. Eh?
Absolutely.
100%. Okay, Harry, floor is yours for the poll.
What do you experience as the biggest challenge to adapt the driver application in your fleet? So the fastest one was driver training. Second one was not user-friendly applications. Third was device cost, and the last one was data cost. So the fastest, driver training.
Interesting. Any comments that the panel has when they see about, and this is slightly maybe it can be hardware specific or device specific, but what do you experience as the biggest deterrent for uptake when it comes to adopting technology within the cab and for the driver? Anybody that wants to take a stab at that?
Thank you very much. Renke, from our perspective, if I look into our customer base and into some conversations that I've had on this specific topic, it's the cost associated with data and the fear of not having control over what that data is being used for, and the fear of needing the tool, but then the data has been depleted, and I think it is a real fear, but I think that there's like the panel member said, I think there's technologies that can really protect that data or that tool within the vehicle, whether it be a fixed mounting point which can't be removed, or a lockdown of device and only using that data for certain applications. But I see that as a driver.
Yeah. And just again, the kingpin of some of the answers in the revelations you've brought today of the perception of why people are struggling to get the tech used. Yeah.
So I don't think, I think I don't see that. We don't see that, and we push hundreds of apps at the forefront of multiple sectors, from logistics to health and safe, to health, ambulances, to security, all the way, through to service workers. And we've never had individuals that are more tech savvy today than then blue-collar workers, everybody has a mobile device. Everybody spends at least 30 minutes on social media, TikTok, etc. And micro-learning has exploded. So we tend to think that we're dealing with a very unsophisticated user, but we have no idea actually how sophisticated these users really are. So I don't think the inhibitor is the adoption problem. I don't believe is coming from not utilizing the devices or necessarily the experience not being comfortable, because devices are second nature. My 2-year-old can play Super Mario no problem on my device, and he's 2, you know. But I think it's more around how you're managing that device and how you're creating the experience for the driver and how that convergence is happening on the device. You spoke a little bit about connectivity. I mean, the world has evolved from ever needing to top up a driver in data. And I think that talks to that continuum of what people don't know what they don't know. If you are on a contract and it, you know, you need to top up a driver, or you're getting a phone call from a driver to top up, and he's parking your vehicle on the side of the road because he can't route, and you've got millions of rands of stock in your vehicle, you're doing something wrong, right? It's just counterintuitive. So there's so many connectivity packages where we've just looked at the way that the networks are selling connectivity, and it makes absolutely no sense to us. Why would you want to commit to a certain amount of data to get a good rate? Why would you want to commit to 12 or 36 months when you have no idea what the next 6 months in your business is going to look like? So we've just turned that on its head and said, you want to scale up, you want to scale down, you want flexible connectivity, but you want connectivity that's fully redundant, and you don't want to be fleeced for it. You want to pay reverse build, and you want a report that's going to tell you exactly what that driver spent it on, not wait for your bill shock at the end of the month. So I think the challenge is that there's a whole world that's evolved technologically around utilizing mobility well, but people aren't exposed to it. So they're doing what they've always done instead of that exposure to say, you know, in that training cycle, oh, I know what I don't know. I'm not unconsciously incompetent. I'm now consciously competent, and I know what problems I need to solve. And I guess that's where we're helping companies, is to show them what the world could look like instead of the pain that they're experiencing and trying to trudge through on the day, so that life is easier, I guess, for them, but also more so for all of you that are spending so much time developing these incredible applications, that the value of those applications is only realized when drivers, or any user for that matter, is utilizing that application the way that it should be utilized. So in a sense, I feel like we can plug the gap between what developers are developing with the real-time management of a device that's going to give that result.
Thank you. All right, let's allow for one question. Anybody on the floor?
No, we've got a leaderboard on there.
All right.
Fastest was Haley Jansen van Vuren.
Haley, are you here? Well done. You can come collect your mobile device. Daniel, do you track this device? Do you? Oh, okay. All right. Well done. Well, excellent. Was there any questions on the floor? All right. Let's move on. Yes, Cole. Hold on, Cole. We have a broad audience. It's many listeners online.
Sure. I'll ask the question. Well, I'll ask the question in the meantime anyway. With all the different types of solution providers, mostly represented here, from fleet management to transport management, right on the other end to TMS and everybody in between, do you see mergers and acquisitions? Because, you know, so often solutions bleed into each other. And sure, Greg spoke about the Unity platform, bringing some of that information together and putting it in a single dashboard and so on. But there's so many different solutions that, you know, need to be integrated. and you're all selling to the same people, do you see mergers and acquisitions sometime in the future?
Good question, Carl. Anybody from the panel wants to take that? So I'll take a shot, Carl. I think there's two ways to look at that, because inherently the need is for it to be seamless. Do you get that outcome by a merger or acquisition, or do you potentially see a seamless integration because it is not as difficult? It does give you that, outcome effect. I think the question is potentially already being answered because it is happening. There are already slight mergers and consolidation of role players. Broad scale, where people or providers go out of their swim lanes into a very unknown swim lane, I don't know, example from telematics all the way to financial. It seems potentially at this stage quite unlikely because there's very specialized environments and integration is seamless. So the single client that you referred to does tend to get that seamless outcome without those applications needing to take control with a potential M&A. That's my opinion.
So, I think two things to that. So one is I'm quite a firm believer in sticking to your wheelhouse. So yes, each person here is playing a very different game, but they're specialists at what they do. And the minute you try to bring those together, you're going to have one overarching system that's going to kind of lead the race, and you're going to lose the speciality requirements in each of the other different systems. In addition to that, I think from a merger and acquisition perspective, it's probably quite rare because, we're integrated with 4 or 5 different telematics companies. So for that company to integrate in the same for a control fleet, to have a merger and acquisition in that process, you suddenly eliminate the ability for your platform to be integratable and support the customer in any way they want it.
It's not just M&A, more like development as well. No one ever thought, maybe 20, 30 years ago, that Michelin or Goodyear would have a solution in the digital space. Just football.
Yeah, and I think that's the way it'll go, right? It will happen from, I don't think, anyone along here is probably going to maybe have an acquisition or merge together, but there will be other guys that want to get into that same space and be able to blend things together, and that's probably where it comes similar to like Michelin did.
Good, thanks, Carl. Good question. All right, so next speaker, Ian van Niekerk is the head of data, or he's a head data consultant at an analytical business called CyberLogic. Very exciting space. Again, Ian, thanks for your efforts. Lovely to listen to you.
Good morning, everyone. Also, I'd like to start for everyone to just imagine a little bit around maybe a year, 2 years down the line, you're operationally sound, you don't get any issues during the day, and you're going to start now focusing a little bit more on efficiency, right? So efficiencies like your fleet utilization, right? I see there's it's still the old one. Okay, so there's some fleet utilization aspects that you would like to start tracking. You'd like to manage your costs per kilometer a bit better. You have load optimization that you'd look to focus on, right? And all of these aspects of fleet utilization, you'll need data for, right? We've been speaking about data the whole morning. And you need to consolidate all of this data to really get to a platform to measure all of this, right? You'll get data from telematic systems like mixed telematics. You'll get information from asset systems, HR systems, information from the driver safety, from camera instances, right? And all of this information needs to then be consolidated. Typical research shows us that between 10 to 25% of costs can be reduced if we just use the data, the field data, more integrated, right? So what we do from our perspective is we build custom data platforms that can ingest and consolidate all of these types of information, So just typical challenges that we do face at the clients, and you'll probably start facing as you start collecting more data and consolidating all of this data, is typically we get a lot of siloed data, right? So you want to report holistically on your business, but there's data from mobile devices sitting on certain systems within in the trucks or the vehicles, and you've got HR systems in a Sage system somewhere in your ERP, and you want to then merge that with some financial data, right? That's a typical use case for some data platforms that we see, right? So in our case, we then try and help the clients, our clients to bring all of this information together, right? So you'll see, once you get all of the information together, you'll see that most of the data is not usually the same quality that you thought it would be, right? So getting all of this data together, now you need to start looking at the data quality, because some of you want to start utilizing more AI specific processes, but the AI can only do some, or give you good quality information if the data quality that's being fed into that is of good quality, right? So the data platform will then start helping you identify some of the data quality problems that that you want to solve, and then you'll probably realize, okay, you focused on a transport business. You don't have the internal capacity or capability, or you don't want to focus on doing data platforms, right? And that's where you'll see there's a big lack of technical data expertise within some of the clients, right? So some of the other problems that we also face, or the clients usually face, is they're very unsure about how to effectively scale these solutions, these data platform solutions. And then the last one is, how do they govern and keep the data secure, right? So what I want to just briefly touch on, so when you start looking at these types of partner engagements with data partners, is there's a few assets or a few aspects that you need to look around, and a few questions you need to ask. So I want to take you through some of that, right? So firstly we'll cover the governance and security, right? So you need to ask the vendor or the partner that you're using, is how are they tracing your data, and how secure is this data that's going into the platform? Is it secure? Is it being encrypted? Just all of the type of aspects around that, and can you trace that information back to where it's originating from, right? It's important that you report on information, but also that information is correct as per the source that the information is coming from. And then another question that's also prominent is, what type of data frameworks or governance frameworks are they using? Are they keeping POPI in mind? Are they keeping some of the GDPR policies in mind? And how is this data that now compliant with the POPI Acts, how is this then being reconciled with the source, right? So are there any processes in place to make sure that the data is reliable? So the next aspect that we typically that you typically need to ask is how scalable and how maintainable the solution is, the data platform is. You don't want to put a platform into place that 2 months down the line now can't cater for more data sources, or you can't scale that solution, right? So can the platform then scale seamlessly, and how easy is it to update and maintain and refactor from some of the existing data sources that's coming into this platform? Okay. And then one of this is a little bit more of a technical question, but I think it's very important to make sure that the platform is actually keeping to some of the data, the best practice and architectural principles that will enable you to then utilize technology stacks like AI going forward. So that's definitely something that you need to keep in mind. And what guiding principles for this what guiding principles for components and integrations do they use, right? Can they only take X amount of sources, but you're currently expanding your client base or your business, and now you're starting to get data from Mint or Powerfleet. How do you then scale from there, and you keep that future mind set, have that future mindset, and not only try and solve for the problem that's there now, but solve for the problem that might be there in 2 years' time. And then a big thing is usually cost effectiveness. The cost effectiveness is how do you process your data and how you collect your data. So are they transparent with some of the forecasting tools that the clients might be using for budgets, for collecting the data, and what strategies do they use to optimize these storage and computing. And then the last one is the operational principles, right? Is the vendors gonna keep the data platform up to date, make sure that the software gets deployed quite efficiently, and how do they alert and monitor any of these data, the data that's coming in from there, right? So it's just a few questions that we could gathered, so you can have a good idea of what type of questions you can ask some of the potential partners in future. Yeah, but I am around if you have any additional questions. Cool.
Thank you, Ian. I think the first thing is, if you're a prospective transport operator and listening to you, and we inherently know that we are collecting a lot of data, we have got a lot of data, but we're very unsure what we must have in place before we even start. Do we need a specific skill set in-house, or, like, are there, what would you recommend? And I know it's hard, but as a first starting point, even for those that are wanting to start utilizing their data better, but really it's daunting to even get out of the blocks.
So what we usually tell the clients is to start with the specific business case, right? What do you want to track? So it's no use that you've got a technology in place, but you don't know what you want to track. So how we typically do projects or tackle this problem is we help you identify a specific business case. From there on, we say, okay, you want to track the amount of, well, the cost per kilometer, right? Where do we need to source that data from? And then try and find that data. So, and then you'll either see, okay, some of this stuff is manual, some of the stuff is being captured in Excel spreadsheets or even forms, and then that's also some points that that leads to improvements, right? So you can start digitizing some of those processes, which leads to better data and then better decision making. So, but to answer short answer, start with the business question in mind. Yeah,
makes sense. No, thanks, Ian. All right, so time for that poll. Just to remind you, some of the prizes have been sponsored by our panelists. So we have cooler goodie bags. So thank you very much for those that have brought something. We're very excited to give back. All right, so the next question speaks to the analytics topic. And when you're ready, then we can have a look at what this question is.
Let's see, there's still people joining. Let's give them a few seconds. All right, here we go. So No, man, sorry, it's me. It's wrong, sorry. There we go.
All right.
So on what elements of your transport operations do you require more insightful reporting?
Seems like there was a bit of extra time given for that answer.
Seems cost management. Second is revenue management. Third is driver behavior and hours. And last is compliance. So the winner most popular here is cost management.
Interesting. All right. Maybe let's just give that prize away. Harry, who was the quickest on that dial?
That was Malefi Mosia.
Ah, well done. Please come and collect your prize. Thank you for participating. Okay, while we do that, are there any questions in the room or online in the topic for analytics, maybe for the panel or for Ian specifically? Okay, I think if there's nobody online, then we'll move on.
Sorry, can I throw it in there quickly?
Sure. Okay. Cool. From Logistics News.
Just very quickly, if you've obviously in your solution, you touch on a lot of the different solution areas represented here. If a typical mid-size transportation company comes to you, where do you see the best results for them if they want to delve into analytics? Where do you see the best returns for them? Or where have you seen the best returns on the projects you've completed?
Yeah, so typically it's those two areas that the Paul touched, right? It's on the cost management and the revenue. So collecting data on those two aspects typically improves a lot of the business utility. Okay, yeah. So it's typically on the cost management and revenue management. Yeah.
Interesting surprises that you've uncovered. Wow.
Not that I can recall off top of my head at the moment. But yeah.
None that you can disclose.
Yes.
All right. Lovely. So on that relevant topic about costs, I think we all know as a transport operator, your fuel and the management of that is critical. So without further ado, very excited to introduce you Reinhard Pieterse. He's the Chief Revenue Officer for TFN. Happy to have you here. Thank you very much, Reinhard.
All right. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good to see all of you. Thank you for taking the time. I'm going to do things a little bit differently. So if you allow, it's going to be worth your time. Big thank you to Rinku. Big thank you to Amhari for this opportunity, and big thank you to yourself. People want to make a lot more money in life. I think you've got your priorities wrong. You need more time in life. So anytime people invest time, I really want to be respectful and give you some value. So let's get to it. Right, I'm quite the shoe guy. Been in serving the transport industry for about 10 years now. And this babies that you're seeing on screen was my selection for my very first transport meeting with a very established transporter. And I was driving to this meeting, listening to my YouTube sales motivational, which says, dress up, show up, and never give up. And that's what I was doing. I was dressing up, I was showing up. I got out the car, and this transport was coming towards me. And when I went to shake his hands, his eyes just went to my shoes. And I think whatever I sold him that day, it was no. Like I could sell him the best thing that's going to turn around his business. He just said, my shoes, this guy doesn't know anything. He's out of there. I learned a lot of lessons that day. One, it was really nothing to do with the shoes, but the transport industry specifically is you need to put yourself in their shoes. What would you do if your truck's falling over, the driver's striking? There's so many, like I would say, their business comes alive 6 o'clock at night, 6 o'clock in the morning. That when it comes alive. In daytime, they like idling. Literally like their trucks. They're just like taking a stroll. Their business operates 6 o'clock at night to 6 o'clock in the morning. And if you don't understand it, or if you desensitize trying to serve that, you're always going to have a challenge. And that was my big takeaway. So I've spent the last 10 years in a lot of transport offices trying to learn, to be relatable, and to really solve problems. That's the main thing. At TFN, we obsess about solving transporters' problem. So I think one of the best compliments we got the other day was, luckily for us, there was competition in front before us in a meeting, and the customer we were trying to serve says, you know, this is the difference when somebody really wants to solve your problem versus sell a product. And that's what we really try to do intrinsically at TFN. Right. My next image here is very purposefully because it's going to set a foundation on my topic day of fuel consumption. And what you're looking at is a very dirty cub dash or a truck dashboard, my bad. So we were taking one client on a trip, and on the specific route that we were taking him on, his trucks are coming up and down. So he's like looking at these trucks, like inspecting the tires, like we're driving 120, but he's inspecting the tires and he's doing all this. I'm like, at one stage, I'm like, are you going to stop? He's like, no. But it was very interesting to me that he kept focusing on the cab and that part that you see there. And I was like, you know, why? Why is the MD of a transport company that has a transport director and all this focusing on the condition of that image that you see there? And he was explaining to me that dirty cab sets off certain behaviors of discipline in his business. And so it would go like this. A fleet 125 comes up and he jumps on his WhatsApp. He's like, fleet 125, it's dirty. I'm like, 1, 2, and like it's 10 trucks. And he says, again, the importance is that is the discipline required to be profitable in today's age. And it's something like that of a driver management that plays the key role. So I really want to talk to you guys about fuel consumption. The more I think and ponder about this thing, I'm like, I'm a fuel guy speaking on how to burn less fuel. It sounds ironic, but you know, we've come to mature understanding that if all stakeholders win, that's sustainability in the industry. So I need to show you where to save the best fuel. I need to tell you where, you know, you need to save cost. So it's not really about fuel consumption, is it? It's about every liter of fuel you burn is the difference between money that's lost or money that's saved. It's very simple. But the question this morning is which is your story? We're not just talking about fuel consumption here. We're talking about profit erosion versus profit optimization. So if you'll allow me, I know there's a lot of data in the audience. We're quite keen on data as well. We'll take a stab at it. But what you're looking at is a VDT of fuel consumption. That's the data term. But what it means in layman's terms is, I know you can wake up any transport at any time, and maybe the guys from LTD would confirm this, that's in the audience, but you can wake them up at any time of the day and you can ask them, what's my fuel price? Doesn't matter where, they'll tell you. And what is my fleet fuel consumption? That's so intrinsically important. However, it's been my experience is it's a vague term, and due to experience or knowledge or whatever the reason is, people don't know really to double click on fuel consumption. So the goal for me today was to present something to you guys. Doesn't matter how high tech or low tech you guys go. This is a model where you can go and say, listen, this is maybe the next KPI for my driver. This is maybe the next KPI for fuel consumption, because it's got levers you need to pull, and it's got amplifiers that you need to be aware of. Okay, so let's start with the core lever. It's obviously the fuel itself. So you need to source at the right place. Quality of fuel plays a big role in that. And the second core lever, is driver behavior. So one of my fellow panelists, Alan there, he can show you all his fancy tools when it comes to driver behavior, and it is critical. I never realized this. I'm a tech software guy doing fuel, but when it comes to fuel consumption, like driver behavior. If you don't talk about it, I know you don't have fuel consumption control at all. And then the two amplifiers is vehicle efficiency and then routes and operational planning, critical. So I want you to picture this. You could be sourcing at the best price possible. You can have the best driving tools available, right? But if that driver goes off route by 10 kilometers, your whole consumption is gone. The whole savings exercise we just did is gone. So it's important to use this stuff in tandem. And I think that was the primary goal of putting a model like this before you guys. So hopefully your ops manager is getting a text now saying, listen, this is it. You need to do this. We're going to look at these things, right? So if we again, if you could double clicking on fuel consumption, we're going to double click now on driver behavior. So this is what our data says. We're going to share this data. We've done significant research on it, and we're making it available to you guys. Idling, very interesting. Highest contributor. Harsh braking, speeding, and then fuel theft. And then if we shift the focus to the route and the vehicle, tire pressure. Tire pressure is I don't think people understand the value of tire pressure. I know I could tell you a lot of stories, but one I want to tell you specifically, it's a family transport business, and the son is typically taking over from the dad, etc., etc. That dad lets no man look at the fuel consumption except his son, because that's the difference between us making it a month and not. So there's really value in looking at tire pressure. And if you chat to me later, I've got a couple ideas. It doesn't always have to be at your yard. There's depots offered, there's people who offer it, etc., etc. But the point is, you need to be looking at tire pressure for fuel consumption. If you haven't, please start doing it. Load balancing, big time. Engine health, big one. Route deviation, we spoke about that. All right, so like my fellow panelists, they said, what about a business case? So we did a little business case for you guys, because I mean, it's nice to put a model up here, but end of the day, you want to know what's the point, right? So the point is, we took a transport company of 50 trucks. We relayed this model, and we're trying to give you like rands and cents so you can see the impact. So this company we looked at, their fuel bill was about 20 million rand a year. There's a potential wastage of 9 million rand on that 20 million rand. So this is how serious this is. And if you can, I think one of the golden thread of today is you don't have to start everywhere, but maybe just pick one thing that you're really going to double down on, and you're going to make it, because if you walk out here, that was my goal of today. I want you guys to save money. I want you to run a more profitable transport business, because that helps the whole industry. It helps you guys, etc. But driver behavior, number one contributor. Then routes. Fuel sourcing, we can speak about that. I know maybe a thing or two on that. And then vehicle efficiency. Very important, I think is neglected, by the way. Right, so we spoke about tire pressure, load balancing and weight, engine health, route deviation, just that, and then procurement. So if, I like a deal, right? And I know a lot of transport guys like a deal, but just make sure that that deal is not costing you money in the long run. Just make 100% sure, because it will. If you buying poor quality of fuel, it's going to punish you somewhere, right? Running out of steam here, but we also did a fuel AI, which is available to you guys. And remember, this is already in an enhanced refueling environment. But let me give you one example. If you're traveling on a certain route and you miss a key price point in TFN's world, or a depot is congested, that could erode your savings. So the goal of this AI to say, great price plus less congestion at a site, this is your most optimized refueling. Maybe you've got home-based fuel. We know your best price is there. We're not saying don't do it, but no, is it time, price? So this algorithm puts that savings in the forefront of your transport business. Just a big thank you. Thank you again for the opportunity.
Sure, Rana, thanks for that energy and the passion, and sharing that data. I know, again, we're not sharing enough and people can hold on to their own use cases, but thank you for sharing that. Every time I speak and listen about fuel, I get awed at how big of a science it is on its own. Hey, it is, it's not straightforward, and there's a lot to it. Right, so let's jump into that poll. Harry, I'm going to give you a moment to prep that. While we do, I'm going to jump straight into a question for the audience maybe that they might have. Harry, I'll handle it from here. Don't worry. You don't have to take the tool onto the floor. Anybody has got a question pertaining this very relevant topic in the room?
Hi, Renko.
There's somebody online.
Renko, how are you doing?
Yes.
Mohammed from Musa's here, man. I just have
Hey, on in Cape Town. Lovely to have you online.
Nah, thanks a lot, man. Just a question for the telematics companies. I know they're incorporating a lot of AI into driver behavior, safety, those type of mechanisms, right? What I'd like to know is there any potential option for these telematic companies using the video camera technology, where they can incorporate, the cameras to be able to alert you for potential diesel theft, where you have people obviously now, fidgeting by your diesel tank, obviously not at the refueling sites, but obviously tampering, besides just the fuel tank, on the diesel lines themselves that running straight to the engine. I think a AI a tool that will pick something up like this from the cameras is also a potential sale in the industry. And I haven't seen any of the telematics companies look into something of the sort. Thank you.
Thank you, man. Thanks for the question. I think, Reinhard, you had your hand up. You want? Oh, okay. No, Alan, off.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Musa. I think I think the technology already allows for that with I almost want to say moving the movement detection AI that says that there's movement in that space. But I think what's most important is when selecting a partner in cameras, is selecting a partner that kind of really owns that ecosystem and has the ability to train their own algorithms, and not the algorithms that's available on the market that tells you the guy's using a cell phone or he's doing this type of stuff. But the ability to say what is the practical pain point in operation, and then kick off a process where you can train the algorithms to look at that from a practical point of view. I mean, some of the algorithms that's available in the market today is the standard stuff, right? It's cell phone and seat belt and yawning and all of that type of stuff. But we're playing with some very exciting algorithms at the current moment, which will include stuff like driver swap, counting of the amount of passengers in the vehicle, weapon detection. So if you've got the ability to really train your own algorithms, I think sky's the limit. Mr. Musa, more than willing to reach out to you after the session and see how we can engage on that algorithms.
Thanks, Alan. Reinhard, I think you also wanted to comment.
Hey Mo, trust you're doing well, buddy. We've actually incorporated telematics into our refueling solution. So anytime a vehicle needs to refuel at a forecourt, your home base, it might have a different use case, but specifically where you don't own the equipment or it's not on your yard, the guy is refueling there, you want to know that your asset is being refueled, number one. So we do that via our telematics partnership. So that truck rocks up at the forecourt, we ping its actual location. If it's not in the vicinity of that truck stop or even a pump, we decline that transaction. But that was always the first level. The second level is always to know what's actually the fuel levels at all time. So the moment we can get something that speaks to credibility in that space, we're going to leverage that to do full tank to tank refuel. Meaning so much is burned, we replace that and we confirm that that has gone into the tank. And then you've got, we believe, the closed loop. Oh. Not a telematics guy, but we're playing with it.
Excellent. Guys. All right, Harry, let's do that poll. Let's give away some prizes. Next question is slightly fuel related.
Fuel is one of the largest costs to manage for any fleet. What is your current focus when it comes to fuel management? So we've got a tie between complete outsourcing of orders and payments and introducing more fuel analytics. That's a tie. Then is move away from on-road to only own browser management. And then the last one is get a driver application for immediate data.
Interesting. Good. And who was the quickest on the dial, Harry?
Ivan de Beer.
Ivan or Ivan?
Ivan or Ivan de
Say.
Beer.
I hope this is not a TFN gift given back to you. Lovely. All right. Give a moment for that photo. Let me move on to the next speaker. Very excited to introduce you to Morne van der Berg. He is the director of VeriServe, and he has years of experience within the transport sector, and very excited for you to share some of that to us today. Thank you, Morne.
Thank you, Renko. Thank you for the introduction, and thank you for the opportunity. It's really an honor and pleasure. This is not my first transport forum, so I've been around for a while, as Renko mentioned. Always been specializing predominantly actually in corporate finance. Grind my teeth at all the big banks. And it's very interesting, and VeriServe was born out of a need. So we typically try and find solutions where there's, we don't like to call it problems, because problems is a situation just awaiting a solution. So, but where there's no problems or challenges, we will create them for you. But the biggest challenge is the biggest challenge in the finance industry, and if you look at the Big Four specifically, they're such big animals, and for them to divert from what they used to and the legacy and how they've been operating and doing business is a huge challenge for them. However, having said that, very proud to be in South Africa in the finance industry. We've proven ourselves. Some of the biggest banks in the world came and tried to compete with our banks, and they just can't. And the reason they can't is we are extremely highly, I would say, overregulated maybe, which is a good thing. It's not necessarily a bad thing. But the reality is people are getting, with all the regulatory requirements and compliance that's required and needed, you know, people are losing track. So it's a fast, dynamic, moving industry. It's not just telematics and the digitization. So the banks, there was interesting yesterday, there's an article in Business Tech of how the fintech companies are giving the Big Four banks a run for their money at the moment. They're losing huge volumes, market share, because these guys are just so, they're flexible. They've got the flexibility, the capability, the scalability to do things just differently. And that's how VeriServe was actually born as well. So I'm just going to give you a high-level overview of who we are and what we do. So our core finance, or our core business, is actually finance and insurance. That's what we do. So, and as I said, it was born out of a necessity because people are just, I've been in this industry for over 30 years, 34 years to be exact. And I've been dealing with customers for over 34 years. And some of them are just they're getting frustrated with their banks. They've got good relationships. There are customers that we've actually swinging from different, well, from their old relationships where they've been with a bank maybe 30 odd years. And now they're looking at alternatives because those guys are just not adding value anymore. So obviously finance is also a big expense for especially your large corporate customers. So we deal with anything from e-hailing right through to your big, large corporate transporters and logistics as well. And it's a very different need and requirement. So what we try and do, so we obviously have the traditional finance options that we do. And I'm going to tell you about our dealer model that we've actually launched quite recently, which is working quite well. But our focus points and areas is to look after the OEMs, the dealer groups, and ultimately the end user. You know, often, and one of our key I'll call it a differentiating, a unique value proposition we have, is we have a subscription model specifically for the commercial industry. So if I say commercial, it's your truck and trailer dealers. And that's unique in itself in terms of, the big banks would like to do that, but we can move very quickly. So if I can just touch on that as well. And then, as I say, the traditional asset finance we do, insurance we do. We've got unique insurance solutions that we do. We've got an asset finance insurance solution that we do. In the unfortunate event where the customer can't meet his obligations, the finance company can actually, there's insurance for that. We do debtors finance, we do business finance, debtors, capital, working capital. We do all those sorts of things. Reality is what's happened in the past is, and actually the subscription model has led us to where we are today in terms of digitization in finance and how we've integrated, collaborated with the likes of the telematics companies, and then also, the transport management systems. So we can now, instead of where your traditional bank's credit will look at history, and unfortunately that's still the case today. We also look at history, but we've built a scoring model where we can run a customer through. So we've integrated, collaborated also with the credit bureaus, some of the biggest globally. We run it through a scoring model. We can quickly say to you yes or no. Within a day or two, we can actually give you an approval, where your big banks can't do that at the moment. And that is speed to market again. But it's digitization that's helping us to do this faster, better, quicker. And we've integrated and collaborated with the telematics guys because obviously we need to mitigate and manage our risk. And I'll touch on that as well. And that's how the business evolved. So on our subscription model, it gives you the flexibility, it gives you the scalability, and it's great for the guys who's got seasonal business. They normally need more vehicles when it's a peak season, and it's a short-term rental kind of solution if you want to look at it. It's not a capital expense; it's an operating expense. So obviously, it does have the tax advantages that you do get with the finance, which is also critical in terms of what we offer. Just quickly, we've launched and developed a dealer online solution with a partner where everything is hosted in the cloud. You can literally sit on the beach, click on a link, complete your application. Everything is there. Everything is in the cloud, and your information will be there. So if you want to buy a second truck, you literally go into your link again. We just update the information. We don't need everything. So as a ex-corporate banker, I like to cut down forests and trees. I don't know, anybody's had any interaction with a bank or financial institution will know the amount of documents you need to sign. Fortunately, most of those things are online. So our stuff everything is online. So there's no paper involved. It's everything in the cloud, and we keep the records. And the other benefit for the guys is we help the dealers where there's maybe not an F&I. We help them with the compliance and the regulatory compliance and all the stuff that they need to comply with in terms of the dealers. So that is a great benefit, great advantage. I see I'm running out of time. So if there's any questions, I'll be around, but I'd like to have some questions in the panel as well. I'm not a typical IT guy or I don't know what to call it, tech guys like you guys. I've had some time in the telematics industry, but yeah, if we can elaborate and maybe touch on finance and how we can work and collaborate, I really appreciate it. Thank you.
For somebody that says they're not an IT guy, you surely are leveraging the tech data very well. Well done on that. I mean, the fact that you can digitize that space on its own is very powerful. So no polls for now. We're going to just head to the last speaker. Maybe before I do, any questions that on this specific topic? Yes, lovely. If you don't mind, just Eugene, I know you, but there are many that would love to meet you.
Sorry, I just wanted to ask, maybe the last was left, or the best was left for last. Is there any advice that you can give to SME fleets about accessing funding for telematics rollout?
Good question.
Yes, good question. Thank you. Absolutely, we do. So, as I mentioned, we don't just finance the assets, the trucks and the trailers, and we don't just do transport. So we do business. We don't do personal. We don't get involved in that. But yes, we can finance technology as well. So that is a big thing for us. As long as it makes sense in terms of the business requirements, yes, absolutely.
So you're telling us we can charge more, you'll get the finance done. All right. So without further ado, excited for, sorry. Oh, one more question. Apologies. If you don't mind just identifying yourself. Yeah.
My name is Mulifi Musia. Greetings, esteemed panel and colleagues. I would like to track back a bit. My question is for Mr. Naker from Powerfleet. I wanted to ask, what telematic systems optimize heavy-duty truck performance in mining, more especially in open cast mining? And my second question would be to Mrs. Danielle from Mint. What is the role of, what role will quantum computing, or rather the gadgets, play in simulating complex mining operational scenarios? For instance, simultaneous equipment failure, supply chain disruption. So I would like to know that. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for the question. I think from an open cast mining perspective, there is technology today. The need, from a logistics side of things, there's a lot of focus on distance. There's a lot of focus on safety, security, etc. In open cast mining, it's a lot of focus on utilization and a lot of focus on productivity. But over and above that, HFEQ, so health and safety, plays a big element. There are solutions today, and connectivity plays a big role. So both based on different networks, Wi-Fi, SD-WAN, LAN, connectivity within open cast mining and underground. So, the need is to transfer that data in real time. Pedestrian visibility and preventative measures based on camera footage and proximity alarms and warnings, as well as out of warehouse. So making sure compliance of vehicles, driver licensing and certificates and certifications are compliant. Alcohol detection is a big element in open cast mining, and in the mining environment alone. And, leading right down to people carrying vehicles. We've seen a big need with regards to safety and security while buses, minibuses, that are bakkies that are on the road with people, managing the hours of service, based on both when I arrived on site, how long it took me to start work, how long am I working for, the quality of the air, and the management and that data that's been transferred, linked to utilization and productivity. There's various different elements that we are complying with and operating in those environments today. But it's a good question. Thank you.
Sure. So from, I think, my perspective, I agree there's a lot of connectivity-based requirements in that space. I think there's a lot of IoT innovation happening in mining specifically, where connectivity is really critical in terms of gaining sort of insights. So we're seeing a lot of proliferation of different types of IoT devices. From a mobility perspective, one of the interesting projects that we've seen is around veterans and people that hold a huge amount of insight and knowledge within the mining industry that have retired, etc., that are using mobility devices in training type real-time augmented reality forums to try and understand what somebody is seeing, technicians, etc., what somebody's seeing or exposed to, and then guiding them from a million miles away in terms of helping them with knowledge, particularly that's required or that might be missing in that forum. So I think there's a lot of opportunity for mobility to play a role in that space. We haven't had as much exposure in the mining industry. It's not a space that we've really actively pursued as yet. But that's one project that we worked on specifically, where mobility devices in terms of solving problems and being able to simulate the environment in which a particular employee found themselves was a project that we were involved in. But I'm sorry I can't share beyond that. But we'd love the opportunity. If there is an opportunity to come and solve problems or create problems, we'd love to be at the forefront of what that could look like.
Thank you. All right. So to end us off on a high, I'm happy to introduce Alan Harrington. He's the head of sales for CTRAC. And thank you for preparing, and very excited to listen to your presentation.
So, they say they give the last slot to the guy that speaks the longest. So apparently lunch is going to be late a little bit today. No, guys, thanks very much for the opportunity to spend some time with you today. I think we spoke a lot about digitalization and the fear that comes with it of all this unknown. But the reality is, and I think Renko touched on that so nicely in his beginning introduction of the opening of today, is how much we've digitized from where we started back in the day. CTRAC this year celebrates 40 years in this industry, and we started with paper tachographs in vehicles, and then taking that paper tachograph, analyzing it with human eyes to give a transport operator some insight. Then we digitized over to adding modems so that we can get that type of data in real time back in the day. And today, CTRAC, as you guys know it, yes, we play in the telematics or the fleet management industry, but we've evolved into a data company that's able to look at this data that is consumed from multiple sources in the industry into Crystal. You've most probably seen Crystal all over the social pages. We launched Crystal in 2022, which is a box agnostic platform which can consume multiple data sources, whether it be hardware installed in the vehicle, which is not ours, to connecting to platforms and consuming some of that data to start really creating this ecosystem where you've got different data sets that leverage from each other to give customers a true insight of what's going on in their operation. I'm not spending too much time on my own product today. I'm more than willing to come and spend some time with everybody in this room, or if you want to reach out over Zoom. In the different regions, we've got fleet specialists kind of all across the country that can come and showcase some of our technologies with you in person. And I think just the last point on CTRAC, I think what's important for us is we don't have a one-box solution. We don't have you have to fit into this category. We own our ecosystem, both from a hardware development perspective, firmware, software. We've got a full team of data scientists that can really sit and understand what it is you are struggling with and what is your future aspirations, and then build these models around what it is you want to achieve and not what it is we think you want to achieve. Because I think sometimes us as telematics companies forget about that. Why do you guys really want to use our services? So we don't try and force it, we try and understand. So thank you again for allowing me the opportunity to just touch on some points in digitalization. There's not much you can say in 10 minutes. But I think as a starting point, Oh shit, I'm going too fast here. So from a starting point, what's for me interesting is that a heavy commercial vehicle in SA can lose an average of 10 to 15,000 rands of daily income when not in operation. Obviously, when keeping in mind stuff like fixed vehicle cost, lost delivery revenue, penalties, yet 40% of fleets in SA still run without predictive tools. Digitalization is no longer a buzzword in our industry. It's a key enabler of sustainable growth in transport. From a telematics perspective, it's predicted that between 2027 and 2028, there will be 3.8 million active telematics devices in SA, depending on the source that you believe, which makes us one of the most mature markets in SA, telematics markets in Africa. Though many of these tools that's deployed is still basic SVR or entry-level solutions opposed to the full advanced management platforms. But I think what makes me excited is because we, the most mature, we have for the most part laid as an industry the foundation to implement sound digitalization. And we now sit at that point where we have to move past just tracking. It's not about tracking, it's about strategically analyzing and actioning the data of these enablers or nodes or of the ecosystems to get to an answer. Fuel still remains a massive cost driver, contributing 68% of operational cost in large mixed fleets. I know the quite on the higher end of it. Renko, don't move me. But even small increments or small adjustments to fuel prices, like 50 cents per liter, can add over 160,000 rands per month to fuel bills for a 80 vehicle operation using 325,000 liters per month. This fuel is very volatile, linked to rand dollar, global oil taxes, and margins, and causing frequent monthly fuel price shifts, directly pressuring operations in the transport and logistics space. And if you talk to any of these industry leaders, they warn that continuous fuel price hikes without mitigation will most probably lead to closure of operations across our industries. Digitalization, it's not just about tracking anymore. It's about transforming operations by adopting technology and ecosystems such as real-time tracking and analytics that help optimize operations, detect fuel anomalies, and incentivize economical driving. These practices are proven to be good strategies in fuel cost management. Driver monitoring, such as driver scoring, fatigue detection, and fuel use analysis, reduces risks and improves safety and fuel efficiencies, especially when paired with proper coaching modules. 5 minutes. You're very strict, that lady. Video telematics, which not only gives you true context and really coaches the driver while he's on the road, and like I mentioned previously, offering you that coaching modules where you can build a sustainable driving force, but it also plays a vital part with regards to insurance and maintenance costs. And if you look at the graph, and maybe we're not going to go through it because of time, but there's so many benefits. If we look just quickly at delivery time accuracy can be improved by 30%. Fuel theft reduction can be improved by 37%. Accident ratios can be improved by 40% by adopting these technologies into the ecosystem and giving the customer that power to predict on these use cases. So some of the key points solved by digitalization is fuel and maintenance cost control with stuff like predictive maintenance, route optimization, fuel anomaly detections, driver behavior, which is a great leader to maintenance or excessive fuel spend, driver safety and compliance with tools like driver scoring and coaching data lakes, which gives you the opportunity to coach, video telematics for reduced accident ratios and efficiencies, fatigue monitoring, asset and load security with tools like live tracking, geofence management, remote immobilization, and most importantly in that space is having the ability to make decisions on the edge, as I alluded to earlier. Driver safety and compliance, operational visibility, real-time dashboards, and it's not about the picture anymore. It's about predicting what the data is saying to you. Some of our data algorithms can now even detect without human intervention if the frequent driver of the vehicle is no longer driving. So you need to use that data to say, Alan's profile is normally this, and if it's normally this based off of all these ecosystems, then he's going to have a crash in 2 months. His vehicle is going to break down in the next 60 days. So you can use all that data and all these machine vision and AI to start predicting that. And that's what CTRAK's really about, is it's predicting, giving our customers the opportunity to predict. So what do we see as the future in this space? The modern transport and logistics operations require system-integrated ecosystems to ensure long-term efficiency, scalability. And these systems include stuff like WMS, ERP, TMS, telematics platforms. And as you can see, the benefits of such is immediate response to downtime, proactive management of bottlenecks, and real-time rerouting during delays. I think the next one, which I see as part of we see as part of the future, is that transport must evolve into actively supporting smart ecosystems, smart city ecosystems, in embracing technologies that enable seamless integration into smart ecosystems, including adoption of V2V technology. And maybe for the gentleman at the back that asked the question on mining, V2V and V2X plays a massive role in mining operations where maybe connectivity is not always possible. You need the ability to use technology, because if there's, as an example, a vehicle standing at the gate that's got connectivity, you need technology that can hop data between these assets on the mine to finally get the information out. So these technologies allow for real-time data between vehicles and between surrounding infrastructure, V2V and V2X. V2X is V2 everything, like traffic lights, road signs, and even pedestrians. And what happened? Oh, sorry, guys. Give me a second. So the system integrations of all these technologies, the TMS, the ERPs, the infrastructure platforms, and telematics and routing and optimization, all of that really is the foundation for these smart city ecosystems. And that will start bringing forth stuff like real-time city and highway traffic congestion decision-making, route optimization, including real-time delivery adjustment caused by traffic and warehouse congestion, reduced operational costs, safer and cleaner and more effective mobility, scalable smart city transport models. And these system integration really paves the way forward for a truly connected, I'm almost done, 1 minute. The next step to start at scale digitalization is, I think someone did mention it here, is to start with the data and audit that current fleet data for accuracy, for structure, for the data lakes, to make sure that you can consume multiple places. Invest into a fit-for-purpose technology ecosystem, which offers you stuff like telematics, asset and fleet management, route optimization, EPOD, video telematics, and predictive analytics. Then integrate this ecosystem into your daily operations. And I think the most important is to then train your teams to act on this insight. Because if you've got all this data, but you don't know how to action it, you don't know how to understand that as part of your operation, then you might also fail. And then my last statement is just tracking shows you where the vehicles are, but digitization of this ecosystem shows you where your inefficiencies lie and then what to do about them. And that really, according to us, is the future of digitalization in the space. And we really try and play a role, whether it is developing modules and data aggregators that can help assist with this, or strategically partner with some of these panel members to get that data into one place so we can give you proper insight and the power to predict. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Alan. Well said and well summarized. Beautifully done. I think, I don't know about you, but I'm filled with a lot of emotions, a lot of information, a lot of gratitude, and a lot of excitement. It's clear all these world-class technologies are in your grasp. They are at the tips of your fingers. They are available. You need to reach out. And wherever you are in your journey of digitization, that is your world, that's your reality. Just start digitizing. I think if that is one thing we can take away from today, that we have a lot of amazing technology and people that know how to deliver that technology for you, just start. Because you are in your own journey, but that journey needs to go forward. So from CtrlFleet side, this initiative, the Digital Dynamics, is a way of just celebrating two things we keep dear. One is the transport sector. That is absolutely the market we serve, will continue to serve and love and adore. And then obviously digitizing. We as a business do know that we are and don't want to be everything for everybody. Hence, we are always looking to partner. We want to create an eco environment where digitization remains the forefront, regardless. So out of the bottom of our hearts, thank you to all of you. You are all, businesses that we love, that we inspire, and in most of the cases already are integrating and working together. Thank you for sharing your knowledge. Thank you for bringing your energy and the mutual love for the sector that we all serve. There are small gifts that we will hand out to you after, just as a token to say thank you for doing that effort. All of you here on site, thank you for coming out and doing the effort. There's more than enough food to celebrate with you afterwards. And we know there's a very large online audience. Thank you for taking the time out. Let's not have the discussion and conversation end here. I've been asked that, on social media, we've got a hashtag CtrlFleet Digital Dynamics. If you are willing to share some of the insights, questions, photos taken, please use that hashtag, or you can just link to our social company pages. And then thank you very much. Harry, it's always lovely to present with you. I know we have one more prize to give away. So we started the invite by asking you to please share that I'm attending post on social media. So the CtrlFleet team is giving a special prize to that winner. Unfortunately or fortunately, shows you how digital we can become. We still like some of the old school methods. We're going to do a name in a bag draw. So Esther, if you don't mind coming up. These are all the members that did use the hashtag on social media. Well, you know what, Stevie, you draw. Right.
So Diane Marks.
And he's here. Well done, Diane. Lovely. Gifts for you. Now you've set the bar. Now you can't go off social, eh? Now you need to continue. Lovely. So are we finishing up on photos? Once again, thank you everybody for being here, taking the time. And then Harry, I'm leaving you to final words.
Thank you so much for always supporting the Transport Forum. We had an excellent day. Everything was so great and well organized. And thank you for setting up this great panel. This was really great. So thank you for all your support. We really appreciate it. Ladies and gents, I think let's give our host a big hand for today, CtrlFleet. So we're also going to say goodbye now to the online audience. And thank you for joining. And we will see you next time again. And then lunch sponsored by CtrlFleet.
Indeed.
Thank you very much. Enjoy. Thank you.
Thank you. Esther, there's some gifts for the speakers. Hold on, man. You know what? You can come and we can get and take a picture together. Thank you, everybody.
I think you come by here, then you can use it.
I see issues out there. Probably started with a jet lag stuff for sure. Thank you very much.
Just on that side. Please don't exit that side. The photos on that side. And if you haven't signed the registration register yet, please do so. So the photos on that side, on the, I don't know what's the Pretoria side of the building.
Hi, everyone. Just a last thing. If all the speakers can just stay behind, we just like to take a picture. So all the speakers don't run away. Let's just quickly take a picture.